What is that smell? What could it be? All these years I thought a skunk crawled in here and choked to death on dog shit, but it's actually coming from this corner. It's coming from one of these magazines. It's this one, Nintendo Power, Volume 74. Of course, the Virtual Boy. It was so bad, even the mere mention of it in print emits the rancid odor of buffalo barf. Wait, no, it's this. Warning, use only in a well-ventilated area. Because this game stinks. EarthBound. Well, that's a game nobody ever talked about. So they're saying it stinks? If so, it would be the first time Nintendo Power was honest. As if life didn't stink enough already. Oh, that's beautiful. The first role-playing game with B.O. Scratch here if you dare. Ugh, yeah, it stinks! Let's try the pizza. Oh, God! Wow, that must mean the game is foul, like real rotten, and that means I gotta play it. I know nothing about EarthBound other than the fact it was the second part of the Mother trilogy, which was only released in Japan. First was Mother on Famicom, then Mother 2 on Super Famicom, which became EarthBound in the US, then Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance, and then Mother based on the psychological horror film starring Jennifer Lawrence. So EarthBound must have been so bad, we didn't even get the other games. Well, what do people have to say? Let's find out. How bad was EarthBound? Oh, okay, it's just one of the greatest RPGs of all time, that's all. When did this happen? One of the top Super Nintendo games? And of course, when Nintendo rounded up all their most iconic characters for the Super Smash Bros. Series, they included Ness from EarthBound. And that doesn't even sum up EarthBound's legacy. This game has a whole community. It's worshipped. If God had a favorite game, it might be EarthBound. Everybody and their grandma talks about it. EarthBound, 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 the Mother series, motherfucking shit. Well, guess I missed out on that one. How was I supposed to know? Nobody gave a shit back then. Now I really need to play it. But it's the one game I don't own. Let's see here. Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. It's one of those, okay. Well, luckily it's been released on the virtual consoles for the Wii U and new 3DS, and also the fun-sized Super Nintendo Classic with several built-in games. But this thing probably isn't that much easier to get. I usually play the original cartridges, but this time, for the convenience, I'll make an exception. So the game centers around a young boy. As I mentioned already, his name is Ness, or whatever you want to name him since it's an RPG. He's eventually joined by Paula, Jeff, and Pooh. That's right, Pooh. Your goal is simply to collect 8 sacred melodies and save the world from Gygus, who is one of the most intangible villains I've ever come across, since it's never really explained exactly what Gygus is. It's more like a vague evil force that hovers over the world. Unlike most fantasy RPGs, it has a contemporary setting. You'll see drugstores, burger shops, stop signs, and vehicles that all resemble real life. This is kind of a breath of fresh air. As much as we love the far-out fantasy stuff, it's cool to see something we can sorta relate to. Even the first enemies you fight are common animals. At first, I didn't find this battle system to be very appealing. You can't see yourself, you can only see the enemies. Compare this to Final Fantasy III, Chrono Trigger, or Super Mario RPG. That's how I prefer my RPG battles. I want some kind of visual representation of the hero characters. If I wanted to read through the whole fight, I'd get out a pen and paper and play some D&D or something. Also, a common complaint I have with all RPGs is I really wish you could see the enemy's hit points. When I inflict damage on them, those numbers mean nothing to me. Is he almost dead? Should I be keeping track? How about a damn counter? But after a while, I got used to it. Because I had to, right? And this is what you do more than half the game. But then, I started to really like it. Hearing that slashing sound when you make a successful strike on an enemy is so satisfying. You can't mention the fight mechanics without talking about the rolling hit point counter, which is a real cool idea. When you take damage, the numbers roll down, where in most RPGs it would be subtracted immediately. Why does this matter? Well, let's say if an enemy inflicts mortal damage on you, you have a chance to heal that character before it hits 0. This can get real tense because when you see those numbers going down, you're hoping to get your turn in quick. There's some other cool ideas here, like the auto battle option, so if you need to take a piss or do something else, you could let the game play by itself. There's also the sneak attacks. If you approach an enemy from behind, you get the first turn, but if they approach you from behind, they get the first turn. The dialogue is never boring. Characters will often break the fourth wall, making comments that allude to the fact they're inside a game. This guy says, "It could only cost you your life, and you got that for free." Or they'll say something that has nothing to do with the game, like, "I want to tell you the story of the creature from the vegetable soup, but I won't do that because I don't want to bother you with a story that has nothing to do with your adventure." I want to know! You don't just tell me about a creature from a vegetable soup and leave me hanging here! In lots of RPGs, the dialogue can be tedious, but here, because it's so funny, it makes you want to talk to everybody. The music is very diverse. It can be jolly, or creepy, and of course it has the mandatory Happy Town music. Oh, those towns, always so peaceful. Yeah. The moment I think best exemplifies the shifting tones in the music is when you're walking in the desert, and through the winds and trippy ambience, you start to hear a song come in, as if being played on a distant radio. There's no way to cover everything that happens in this game, but just to give you a taste of how unpredictable it is, let's just say you use a pencil eraser to erase a pencil, Ness rides on a Nessie-type creature on your SNES, you use zombie paper to catch zombies, like flypaper, so it makes perfect sense. You follow a hooker into a hotel room where a bunch of monsters gang up on you, you wake up in some weird room, you telepathically communicate with Jeff in a snowy land where he fights giant cavemen at Stonehenge and goes into a lab where a scientist builds a spaceship, you fly around, crash into a graveyard, ending up in the same weird room, you get a carrot key to use on shadowy bunnies to enter a cave, there's a town where nobody talks unless you give them a book to overcome shyness, there's a guy who turns himself into a dungeon, you go inside him to get a submarine! This is not normal. You gotta be insane to come up with this. What just happened to the game? And we gotta talk about these enemies. What the hell is that thing? You never know what you're gonna have to fight. It might be a pile of puke, or a UFO with a pink bow, or a cup of coffee, a car, happy vinyl records, gas pumps, melting clocks, a speed limit sign. I'm fighting a sign! And they chose such a moderate speed limit. It could have been 9,000 miles per hour, but they picked something ordinary. Even Handsome Tom makes an appearance. And now I'm fighting a tent! Dude! I'm fighting a tent! Whoa, dude. That's it. This game's awesome. You know, I've talked a lot about wasting your time playing bad games, but there's something equally sad about missing out on a good game. I thought it was shit. I thought it was shit! I thought it was shit! You didn't tell me it wasn't shit, you fuck! You know, why did it flop? Some say it was because of those smelly ads, but that couldn't have been the whole reason. The 90s was all about gross out humor. That was the same decade that gave us Booger Man, Nickelodeon's Gak, Beavis and Butthead, Earthworm Jim, Ren and Stimpy. The 90s was the barf age! All the grunge bands, they sang like they were just getting over a sickness. Marilyn Manson, he sang like he was perpetually vomiting. Sweet dreams of it doesn't make sense. Like, how did it tank so bad? Some say it was because the game was overpriced because it came with a player's guide inside of an oversized box. Your mom has an oversized box! So, it's a good game. Maybe even a masterpiece. That means I'm gonna let it off the hook. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. My ass! Yeah, I don't mean to piss on everybody's parade, but I do have some gripes. Beginning with my most minor complaint. All the money you earn from defeating enemies, you have to withdraw from an ATM or cash machine. Whenever you die, you lose half the money you're holding. You might say it's an interesting game mechanic because it's like real life, where you only want to take out as much as you need. But it only causes you to keep making extra stops and is a constant inconvenience. There's a part where you have to give somebody a diamond, but she won't take it unless you walk around to the other side of the desk. Have you ever had to walk around a desk to give somebody something? Here you go. It doesn't help that walking around anything could get you stuck. Hey, it's just trees. Look how tiny I am. I can't fit past that tree. This is almost as bad as Little Red Hood. Also, you move pretty slow, and with such a big world, getting around can be a chore. Sometimes you want to outrun enemies, but they're all the same speed as you, or faster. But oh hey, I found a bike. That solves that. Oh shit. Seriously? As soon as more characters join your party, you can't use the bike anymore. It's a one-seater only. Well, since Ness is solo for only a small part of the game, that means the bike is pretty much worth jack shit. Thanks for the tease, assholes! There's too many incidental items that only get used once, like the piggy nose which you use to sniff for magic truffles. I can't think of any other area in the game where you need that, so your inventory gets filled up quickly with all these items that you don't even know if you're going to need again. And yes, what you see on screen, that's all the inventory you can hold for each character. You can use Escargot Express, which is a pickup delivery service that can take the items off your hands and save them for you, but every time you call these bastards over, they only pick up 3 items at a time, so it's more messing around and jumping through hoops just to keep what you want to keep. When you buy items, there is no option to pick quantity. If you want to stock up on many of the same item, you have to buy them one at a time. Oh. Wouldn't it be so much easier just to do this? Something as simple as buying items from the store is torture. Absolute fucking torture. Then there's a secret entrance that you have to access by standing behind a waterfall. You're supposed to stand still and wait. This is very similar to the tornado in Simon's Quest, which I've referenced 1,000 times, but that's nothing. You only have to wait about 5 seconds. But you want to know how long you have to wait here? 3 whole minutes. I'm dead fucking serious. If you die, you get the worst punishment ever. All your friends remain dead and have to be revived. To revive them, you have to take them to a specific place, usually a hospital. Along the way, Ness will most likely be forced into fighting a bunch of enemies without the help of his friends, which makes the whole process take even longer. When you get to the hospital, you have to pay a fee. Oh shit, I need to go to the ATM to get some money. So get the money, go back to the hospital, and now the friends are revived. 1 at a time. But their PSI or magic is still not replenished, so you either have to find a bunch of magic butterflies or go to a hotel and pay another fee for that. But the craziest thing is many of the areas in the game don't have hospitals or hotels. It might be a spring or a pool, a geyser, or some weird character with healing powers. You never know. So you do not want to die in this game, because depending where you are, it can take maybe 30 minutes to get everybody powered up again, when a simple reset would have done nicely like every other fucking game. Even something as simple as saving the game is a hassle. You have to call your dad, who records your progress. That would be fine, but the guy just won't stop. Your dear old dad was also thinking about hitting the hay for the night. I have recorded a record of your adventure to this point. Good night, sleep tight. No, I'm not done. Continue. You like to work hard, just like your mother, but I don't think it's good to work too hard. This happens every time. Every single fucking time. You want to know how you save a game? That's how you save a game. Instead of having to wait through all this bullshit. And sometimes your dad calls you out of the blue.
Hello, it's your dad. You've been out there for a long time now. It may be none of my business, but don't you think it would be a good idea if you took a break?
Don't you think it'd be a good idea to go fuck yourself? This game is all about interruptions. Again, seemingly using Simon's Quest as the model. Here, earthquakes constantly stop you from moving. And you know it's coming, but there's nothing you can do. Oh, any second now, and he's, come on! Go, go, go! But the worst interruption of all, the photo guy. He drops in to take your photo again and again and again for no real purpose except for the end credits. Whoopity-doo. He shows up all the time, and I mean all the time. Leave me alone! Let me play the game! Often you may need to backtrack to areas in the game you've already been to, and with such a big world and so many enemies in your way, it could take forever to get from one place to the next. So thankfully, you get the power to teleport. Now you can instantly go anywhere you want. Or not. There can't be anything in your way. You need extra clearance, perhaps just enough to reach 88 miles per hour. This isn't Back to the Future. What is this shit? And if the roads are on an isometric angle, forget about it. You know how teleporting is supposed to work? Like this. Many areas in the game, the space just doesn't exist. How am I supposed to teleport here, or here, or here? You have to take a long hike to get somewhere else, which defeats the whole purpose of teleporting. It's another useful ability gone down the shitter. By the end of the game, you get an upgrade. Now the teleport goes in a circle, which is significantly better, but still, you can slam into things even when there seems to be plenty of space. Ass! I'd throw the game out the window, but it's on the Super Nintendo Classic, so that would mean throwing out Street Fighter 2, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, and Castlevania 4. And after all, I'm willing to excuse most of this shit because the game charmed me so much with its unique style. I still maintain it's an awesome game, but those are some serious strikes against it. No matter how frustrating it gets, I can't stop playing it because I want to see what happens next. You never know what this game's going to throw at you. All of a sudden, you're fighting a bunch of police officers. Police officers are trying to beat up a child. Then you're fighting a bunch of Klansmen who worship the color blue. Holy shit, I'm so overwhelmed trying to explain everything that happens here. The question is, what doesn't happen? Each area invents its own set of rules. In the neon town of Moonside, you can't walk around much. You're always trapped inside invisible barriers. So you have to talk to certain warp people who look just like everyone else, and they warp you to the next place. Also, in this town, yes is no and no is yes, so you have to answer everything opposite. Pay for the doctor's fee?
Yes, no, yes, no. Should I say yes or no?
There's a part where you have to navigate through a series of caves by trading items with monkeys. This is where your inventory skills of what to keep and what not to are put to the ultimate test. If you want to see how complicated this part is, just look at the player's guide. And it's just so you can get a yogurt dispenser to give to a secretary to grant you access to a certain floor in a building to fight robots, rescue Paula, and escape in a helicopter. Or not. It's like the Wizard of Oz with the hot air balloon. Come back, asshole! You eat a magic cake, which changes everything into a completely different game. This is where you play as Pooh for the first time. You have to go to the top of a hill known as the Place of Emptiness to meditate. This is another instance where you're supposed to stand still and do nothing. Then a voice calls out and says to stop your meditation immediately. Okay, so I go back to my master and he says to try again. What? So I go back up the hill again. This time I ignore the voice because you can't even trust what the game tells you. Okay. To complete your trial, I am going to break your legs. You will lose the use of them. Do you accept this? Am I supposed to say yes?
Oh, this ain't good. I shall then take your arms and feed them to the crows? Oh, sure, why not? I'm almost dead anyway. Ah! Taking my arms, taking my legs, taking my soul, left me with life in hell! Without legs and arms, you can only lie there. Now I'll cut your ears off. Well, my HP is 0, so what could happen? Ah! No legs, no arms, and no sound. Do you care if I take your eyes? Do you want to live in eternal darkness? I shall steal your sight. Do you accept this? Ah!
That was weird, man. Progressing toward the end of the game, you fight Diamond Dog, the first legitimately hard boss battle because he deflects almost anything you throw at him. But if you make it through, you touch the fire spring, which transports you to some dream where you visit your childhood home as a ghost and see yourself as a baby who exhibits some signs of telekinesis, I think. If it all isn't cerebral enough, next thing, your mind creates a realm called Magicant, which is made up of Ness's memories, such as the flowers from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Introducing the king of cartoons! They say this land will cease to exist when he wakes up, but in the meantime, he's reunited with past characters, both friends and enemies. I still feel pain where you wounded me. Well, that makes you feel sad. This really is one of the most fascinating dream stages I've ever played in a game. There's so many interesting lines of dialogue that just makes me stop in my tracks, like this snowman from Ness's childhood. We had fun one snowy day. I melted, but I'm still real in your memory. And when Ness meets his younger self, this might be the most brilliant quote in the whole game. It's me, I'm you when you were younger. Hey, let's play ball. Do you prefer reading comics or playing games? What? You're busy? Pure gold. Then you're joined by flying warriors who represent your courage. When they die, they populate a graveyard. How cool is that? You also find the grave of Buzz Buzz, a bee from earlier in the game. Lots of people have theories on who Buzz Buzz really is, but I think Buzz Buzz is a collective entity that represents all the other EarthBound players out there who have shared this experience with you from a distance. Near the beginning of the game, Buzz Buzz says he's from the future, which is when the game finally got popular, as if it predicted its own legacy, and I like to think the tomb belongs to a player who gave up on this spot in the game, which is why you must go on. Then you go deeper into your subconscious. Oh, shut up, Dad! Come on! You go deeper into your subconscious to a place where you touch the truth of the universe and then fight your evil self in the form of a gold statue. This game is nuts! It's really nuts! And once the statue's beaten, Ness absorbs the power of the land into his heart, and all of his memories flash before him.
Where did you learn to fly?
I shit all over it with the glitches.
Hey nerd, I'm your younger self. Wanna play some E.T.?
Fuck no!
Oh, well, why so angry?
Stop playing these games. They'll ruin your life.
But games are fun. What happened to you?
I was fun too. You used to watch me over and over. I destroyed you. I slashed you with the sword and smashed you with the hammer. That's true, and it's still painful, but I still exist in your memory.
I shit all over it with the glitches.
I'm Bammy! I'm Bammy! I'm Bammy! Want some shit?
No! That's right, nerd. Don't take shit from nobody. Only give shits. And while you're at it, get some clothes that fit.
Yes, it's a little on the baggy side. Hey, I don't need any advice from you or the shit talking shit. I'm not just any shit. I'm the shit you dropped on the Atari Jaguar.
But where's the Jaguar?
You didn't want it. All there is now is shit. Everything now is all shit. That's how you made it. But I don't want it to be shit. Not anymore. I've been through so much. I've recorded so many memories and experiences, but the shit is still spreading. It lives on and on. To defeat it, you must go back to the source of the anger, the beginning. You can't go back to your childhood, not physically anyway. You can only go back in spirit. And even then, you'll be isolated inside your own world. You'd be powerless to win without help from the outside.
Yeah, nerd. Do what the shit said. Beat EarthBound. Keep on trucking. You fuck.
The final stretch of EarthBound is one of the craziest things you'll ever experience in a video game. You're now ready to confront Gygus, but a scientist explains that Gygus is actually attacking from the past, so the only way to fight him is to get in a time machine called the Phase Distorter to take yourself back to the past. But the time machine can only transport inanimate objects. Any living beings are demolished in the process, so first you have to transplant your souls into robots. Yeah. Essentially, you can only go back in spirit. So when you're successfully sent back, the place known as the cliff that time forgot becomes the cave of the past. Then you have to fight a whole bunch of enemies in your new robot bodies. Every few steps you take, you get stuck in another battle. The Starmen are some of the toughest enemies in the game. They just pulverize you, so you need to put up magic shields, if only you get the chance. And if there's one of those enemies that explodes and causes mortal damage to everyone, you better make sure to kill them last. Ugh, this whole thing is an endurance, and if you don't have enough items to heal or revive party members or replenish PSI magic, you could be fatally screwed. As far as I know, there's no way back anymore. You can't teleport to find a store to stock up on items. Whatever you have now, that's all you get. If you die, the items don't come back. If you run out of items, I really don't know what you would do here, and I don't want to experiment by hitting reset or anything like that. When you make it this far, this is when all the classic symptoms of gaming fever occur. Your hands sweat all over the controller, your face gets hot, you might even stand up like I do. You get so hyped, you think you might end up in a hospital. And if you want to experience this amazing finale for yourself, consider this a spoiler alert. Up until now, the game has been cute and adorable, but now it's about to hit you with a precision mindfuck. You walk through a weird passage that looks like intestines or something, you step up to the devil's machine which contains Gygas, a portal opens revealing Nessa's face, whatever that means, and to make things even more confusing, Nessa's neighbor Pokey appears as a secondary villain. He's a recurring character who's always had a rivalry with Ness. It's not very clear how he ended up here, but what interests me is that you're fighting your own face. But anyway, now with that metal music going on, you know you're in for some serious shit. Come on. If you win, Pokey turns off the devil's machine, releasing Gygas, and then this happens. Holy mother of shit, I'm glad I didn't play this as a kid. I'd be traumatized. I can't believe this was rated K to A. When you finally see Gygas, you still don't know exactly what he is. He's just a vague, swirling red face. Even when he attacks, it says you cannot grasp the true form of Gygas' attack. It's as if Gygas isn't really a thing, but more of an idea. In fact, he can't even be harmed by physical attacks. You have to use Paulo's ability to pray for help. Then you see all the supporting characters from all over the game praying for your safety. The idea of praying goes along with the idea that Gygas is the vague embodiment of evil or the devil itself, which makes this whole battle feel like an exorcism. After each prayer, Gygas changes shape as the visuals start to look even more like you're in hell. And what's that? Oh, I am so freaked out, I don't even know what to say. Intentional or not, there is the distinct shape of a baby. More specifically, a fetus as seen through an ultrasound.
Whoa, and now look what it's doing.
It's like an ultrasound machine got possessed. If you've seen Gremlins 2, you remember the electric gremlin that goes inside the electrical equipment? It's a little bit like that, except if it was the devil. And if I wasn't already impressed by the technical capability on the Super Nintendo, this is something I've never seen it do. Think about it. You're fighting the background. It's a surreal, immersive experience that feels like you're actually fighting the console itself and that it's been possessed. And you want to see something really wild? You know those magic eye images where you stare at a pattern and let your vision go blurry or whatever until you see a 3D image pop out? You can actually do that here. I don't recommend it if you're not comfortable. There's several ways to do it and everybody's different. The technique that works best for me is I cross my eyes until the double images converge, creating a false focus, and that gives you this crazy three-dimensional depth. So if you want to freak yourself out even more, there you go. But I warned you. Many fans have given theories as to what the baby means, just like analyzing the baby at the end of 2001, A Space Odyssey. It's worth noting that there was a theory spreading around saying that Gygas himself is a fetus, and that the reason you traveled back in time was to destroy him before he was born. Now let me state, this is not my own theory, but it's interesting. An abortion, basically, to prevent the birth of an evil villain. Such a morally complex idea. And they say the entrance to Gygas' lair represents a woman's spread legs, which means the cave in the middle is, well, use your imagination. It's a vagina. When you go inside, you're traveling toward the uterus. Yeah. Again, keep in mind, this is just an old fan theory. Many fans have debated against it or pointed out other plot elements in the Mother series that contradict it, and the game designer Shigesato Itoi denied the theory, but I still think one of the artists might have put the baby in there because it's the shape of a baby. That's the only thing that's clear. As far as the rest of the theory goes, if Itoi denied it, then it's not true. It's just based on a movie scene where a woman gets strangled and hacked to pieces, that's all. Itoi recalls being at the movie theater as a child and walking into the wrong film. It was called The Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty from 1957. There's a scene where a man strangles a woman, then carries her to an operating room where he cuts her up to hide the body. If you try to compare the film with EarthBound, you're not going to see any similarities. There's no lines of dialogue that carried over, even if they were somehow inspired by it. Even Itoi remembers the movie differently than how it actually is. But nevertheless, it shocked him and left a permanent impression. So when he was creating this final boss battle, he was remembering that feeling of childhood trauma. Gygus is just a symbol of all your childhood terrors. Itoi said Gygus is something you can't make sense of, and it gets the player's minds working. This means you can interpret it any way you want, just like any Stanley Kubrick film. That's what makes the game so great, is that we're all able to share our own different ideas. So what I'm about to say is just a personal hunch, nothing more. What I like to believe is that Gygus is an eternal being who's reincarnated as Ness. Whatever alien life form he existed as in the first Mother game was just another body for him to inhabit. There's no better way to explain it than in the lyrics of one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, A National Acrobat, which itself is open to interpretation, but it goes hand in hand so well. I believe Gygus is the same traveling entity that is speaking from those lyrics. So I like to think Ness was the reincarnation of Gygus all along, and he's had powers that he can't even understand. Those powers are what influenced animals and people to become violent, so when he fights them, he's fighting against his own evil side. After all, so much of the game seems to exist inside his own imagination. It begins with Ness waking from bed, having heard a strange noise, then taking a bat and ordinary household items. An innocent, imaginative child arming himself in the only way he knows how. The sacred melodies that he records each remind him of something from his youth, connecting him closer and closer to his childhood. Only after he obtains these memories, he creates Magicant, where he's able to examine all his life experiences, putting everything into context and coming to terms with the events from his past. Only then can he go back to the source of the evil, the beginning. You go back to the very moment in the womb when Gygus was reincarnating into Ness. Yes, this kind of plays along with the much contested fetus theory, except the fetus is Ness and Gygus is trying to take over. So what you're doing is driving Gygus out, or performing a sort of exorcism, if you will. Even if this is not at all the idea that was intended, I find it more interesting, in my opinion. A double image of a demon and a baby. Who will take control, good or evil? Now I'm starting to sound like a movie trailer. And if I haven't already lost my mind, get this. The final battle takes place in a separate dimension, which exists as a metaphysical bus to transport Gygus from one life to the next. So when Ness and his friends leave their bodies behind, they become traveling entities themselves. That's the only way they could exist in the same dimension as Gygus in order to fight him. But they still can't defeat him on their own while trapped inside that world. They're powerless to win without help from the outside. And that's where the prayers come in. So everybody, please help! Help me beat this game! I am blown away. That was one of the craziest games I've ever played. Sure, it has flaws, but I think it does belong on the list of mandatory Super Nintendo games. I think the worlds they created here has potential far beyond the games. Just look at how much imagination they put into the player's guide. There should be an EarthBound animated TV series. That could be amazing. Well, let's hope more things happen with the Mother series, and if not, the fans will still keep it alive. Before there was Rambo and the Terminator, there was Dirty Harry, which made Clint Eastwood into one of the original badass action stars from the modern era. Now, of course, because the movie was rated R, it got made into an NES game. And while the movie was Dirty Harry, the game was straight up filthy. Now, there existed 5 Dirty Harry movies, so the game doesn't follow any specific one of the storylines, it kind of invents its own. The title screen opens with the classic line from Sudden Impact.
Go ahead. Make my day.
And that does make my day, because it sounds pretty good. Too bad everything after that goes downhill. It's like cutting the brake lines on a dump truck, and then it crashes into a sewage treatment plant. But the dump truck was actually full of shit to begin with. Oh, just listen to that music. Sounds like someone was beat to death with a synthesizer. It's a symphony of electronic farts. When you press start, you'll be given the option of starting from the beginning or entering a password, specifically for level 2 or 3. There's only 3 levels. Well, that's good. How bad could this be? Stupid question. Start the game and you're immediately ganged up on by 2 assholes while another asshole rains Molotov cocktails down on you. Though I do like the little pose Harry does when he gets hit. That's great. Looks like something Elvis would do. When you beat them up, 2 more guys come out. Geez, is there any city with this much crime? The whole city is trying to murder a police officer in broad daylight. I can't even get past the first screen without losing a life. Oh, maybe because you have to hit A and B together to jump. Because why make the controls easy to use? I mean, if you're gonna have diarrhea, you might as well splatter the toilet seat while you're at it. I walk in these buildings and there's snakes all over, just slithering it up. Oh, geez, Alice Cooper left his damn snakes all over the place. Why are there snakes in the apartments anyway? I mean, sure, the main villain in the game is named Anaconda, but why do they have to take it so literal? It's not like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat actually throws scorpions at people. Come on, I'm a cop, not animal control. There's also rooms with laser floors, and this big bastard, if you get close, he punches you straight across the room. And bullets bounce right off him. So, tons of snakes, psychotic citizens, and a giant bulletproof enemy. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this place? Alright, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so let's check the manual. Okay, you can kick by pressing up and B, which also opens the crates. That makes sense, I guess. You can also use crowbars to break into closed apartments, but be careful, because they can only be used once. Who ever heard of disposable crowbars? Are they actually made of crows? And by the way, the health power-ups are chili dogs. Who does he think he is, Sonic the Hedgehog? You can also jump on the small boxes on the floor to find ammo, money, bombs, and bags of cocaine. Dude, it's an NES game where you're collecting bags of cocaine! Sure, it happened in Narc, but that whole game was like an anti-drug statement. Here, you're just collecting cocaine! Finally, after stopping and kicking everything in sight, you pick up a flashlight which allows you to see in the sewers later in the game. I also ran into this guy who doesn't do anything, he just flips a coin. I tried shooting him, I tried kicking, I tried punching him, but guess what? You have to jump right on him, and then you get his clothes. What, you never jumped on a complete stranger and instantly switched clothes with them? So now Dirty Harry turns into John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever. Oh, and on the back of the game, they have the screenshots for both the Travolta and Elvis poses, because they knew it was awesome. Oh, and the giant guy, I guess you can walk past him now because you're wearing a disguise. Then there's this lady who gives you some extra lives. That's great and all, but there's no reason to come in here other than that. Why go through all that if it's not going to progress the story? And who cares about the extra lives, because soon I die anyway. This game is yet another one of those where the fuck do I go kind of games. I ran around for 20 minutes like a chicken with its head cut off and barely accomplished anything. Well, luckily there's an infinite lives code. Yeah, it's cheap, but fuck it. So the password to get infinite lives is Clyde. Clyde is the orangutan from another Clint Eastwood film, Every Which Way But Loose. So I guess the developers were big Clint Eastwood fans, but a better way to honor him would have been to make a game that doesn't suck ass! So anyway, the infinite lives should make the game easier, but it doesn't. Look at how agile Harry is. I mean, he could be in the Olympics. He jumps 10-foot gaps from ladders and hops along rooftops. Imagine Clint Eastwood moving like that in real life. After smashing everyone's apartment again and parkouring through most of San Francisco, I hit the first sewer section. It's filled with rats, roaches, and remote-control cars, a little reference to the 5th film, The Dead Pool. The sewer has a real electrical problem too, because there's open wires that'll fry Harry if he touches them. You run around like a rat in a maze, hitting switches and looking for a way out. It's tedious as hell and takes forever. But then again, all horrible games need to have sewers because that's where they belong. Okay, we're finally here. We get to fight the boss. The boss is easy. You just keep shooting and dodging his shots until he dies. But wait, that's not it. There's still more. So that was only a mini boss. I've been on this level for almost half an hour and it's still going. You could beat other games in that time. So you shimmy across electric wires, go into an alley, and boom, another boss fight. He's also easy. Just get to the roof and shoot him. And yeah, of course, there's still more. Go into the building, find the gas mask, which lets you go into the poisonous gas rooms. So let's check out what's in here. Huh, nothing good. What? How do I get out? I'm stuck? There's no way out? Oh, you gotta be shitting me. This right here is one of the most notorious fuck yous I've ever seen. The dreaded ha 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 room. It's literally a dead end. The only option you have is to reset the game. Okay, get the flashlight, jump through the alleys, get through the shit stench sewers, fight the bomb guy, fight the gun guy, get the gas mask, avoid the ha ha room, and finally make it to the final sewer. And this one's red for some reason. Guess like it's taking you to hell. Alright, so I get to this door, and for whatever reason, I can't open it. Did the game glitch? Oh, and I can't go back because this other room's filled with water. And also, I can't jump to the platform from the pipe. This game does not want me to beat it. And just to remind you, this whole thing is only the first level! I am not playing level 1 again, so let's check out some passwords. Misty gets you to level 2, and Bird gets you to level 3. So apparently they're both obscure Clint Eastwood references. Misty is a reference to the film Play Misty for Me, and Bird is a biopic that Eastwood directed about a jazz saxophone player. Well, is this Dirty Harry the game, or is it Clint Eastwood the game? So anyway, level 2 starts, and it's just a normal linear stage. No rooms, no alleys, no dead ends. Why wasn't the first stage like this? It's not great, but it's at least a normal side-scrolling level. This part here is actually kind of cool. You kick a barrel into the water and shoot it to kill the guy. That's pretty neat. But of course, there's this whole platform jumping portion. Because why not push these broken controls to the absolute test? Once again, I'm stuck. I can't figure out how to get across. I think I have to jump on the box, but fuck it, my patience is dead from level 1. So let's try level 3, Bird. So Harry takes a boat, which I assume happened in the second level. According to the manual, the last level's on Alcatraz, which is a reference to the third movie, The Enforcer. It's another linear level, but this time they brought out the big guns, literally. Everyone's shooting at you, and it's damn near impossible. How was anyone supposed to play this? This game was made in 1990, for kids. Why make a 20-year-old R-rated movie into a video game? Why make a dead-end room? Why reference a bunch of other Clint Eastwood movies as passwords? Not to mention there's a fourth password, Gunny. It's Eastwood's character from Heartbreak Ridge. And guess what it does? Nothing. Supposedly the password exists, however it wasn't programmed to activate any part of the game. Such a missed opportunity. Not just the Gunny password, the whole fucking game. Imagine what this game could have been. A level like Hogan's Alley where you shoot bad guys, a car chase level through the hilly streets of San Francisco, even a motorcycle level like from the movie Magnum Force. Hell, there's even an unused motorcycle sprite in the game code. So then you reach Mount Shitty Caca, which is basically just a mountain of pixelated piss and shit. What am I supposed to do here? I don't know what I'm jumping on. I don't know what's going on. I've made it as far as I can go. I'm sorry, but a man's got to know his limitations. I'm shit out of patience, and this game is shit out of luck.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself. But being this is a Konami Justifier, the most powerful light gun in the world, and would blow your label clean off, you gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya? Punk!
Oh, hey, I've just been meditating to summon the power of the Chosen One to give me the patience and the courage to play today's game. And this is one that I've gotten tons of requests for, and I've been dreading the day when this game is old enough for me to review. Drake of the 99 Dragons. This game is what you get if somebody ate every badass dual pistol wielding trench coat wearing late 90s action movie cliche, then barfed it out, ate the barf, and then dumped their ass into a piss and shit stained bus station toilet. And then they took that rancid concoction and somehow printed Xbox discs made out of it. 99 Dragons, made out of 99% bullshit. This game was supposed to spawn a comic book series and a TV show, kind of like Cheetah Men, but it was so shitty it faded into obscurity. The first thing you see after the game boots up is the Majesco logo. At least I think that's what it is because it's blurry as fuck. Seriously, did they do that on purpose? Maybe they wanted to blur the logo so nobody would know they had anything to do with this miserable manifestation of demon semen and Reese's feces. It's a shame because the artwork is actually kinda cool. It has a Saturday morning animation or indie comic vibe to it. Then you see the cutscenes, which look atrocious. This is 2 years into the Xbox's life, and this was the best they could do. But oh boy, let me tell you, I haven't even started playing yet. So let's pick up the Duke here, this big ass tank fucking controller, and let's get started. Because it's gonna get fucked. The slightest movement of the control pad makes his arms flail all over the place. Why would they do that? I understand the game was developed under a very short time, but somebody had to pop this in at least once and say, this controls like ass. So after jumping around, shooting at nothing for a minute, you finally kill the first bad guy and get another awkward cutscene. This is where the voice acting gets real good.
Presence inside it. A soul? Oh, what was that? Intruders in the penthouse of the 99 Dragons clan? You must be out of this world to get past our guards.
What the hell does that mean? So then Drake runs in and does absolutely nothing while some ninja ghost Grim Reaper guy steals some kryptonite, and then more awful voice acting.
This theft can't be Tang's doing alone. He must have aid from beyond this world.
The artifact, it can't be gone.
Oh, and the lips barely move, so I can never tell if they're actually talking or it's some kind of inner monologue. So anyway, now we're on to the first actual level of the game. Chase down the ghost assassin. You run around smashing the trigger buttons as fast as you can while Drake swings his arms around and hopefully hits the targets. A little tip here, never switch weapons. Like here, I picked up some machine guns, so of course I'm gonna switch to them, but look, they don't hit anything, and I die! And I'm only fighting 2 guys. I emptied a total of 4 machine guns and hit nothing. What the fuck? And the game's not hard. It's actually really easy, but it's so broken and glitchy and weird, and you're swinging your arms around like crazy, and then you're clicking the buttons like this. Listen. You like hearing that? So all this with the bad controls, everything all combined is a 5-star recipe for your declining sanity. So after you restart, you begin to adjust to the shit controls and vomit-inducing camera angles. But make sure you have a barf bag on hand for this game. Oh, excuse me. After the bad guy goes through the window, you find out that somehow, even though you were running all around the fucking building, you died in the same room you started.
This can't be.
Oh, and your master's also dead.
All dead. No!
So now, to add to the cliche list, you're an undead chosen one who has to avenge his master's death. Never heard that one before. Being undead also gives you the ability to run off walls, which takes the game's controls from shitty to crusty ass crack barnacle shitty. Look at that, the game doesn't know what to do with itself. So you run around collecting 30 balls, and then Drake, hopped up on roid rage, throws himself out a window and dies!
Obviously.
This is where the game's most frustrating feature comes into play, the Serene Garden. Here, you meet 4 asshole statues who insult you and then send you back to the normal world to get your revenge. But the thing about this place that really sucks shit soda through a straw is that every time you die, first you get a loading screen, and then you go back here for 10 seconds, listen to one of the statues talk shit about you.
There's no cure for stupidity beyond death.
Yeah, well fuck you too, you fucking statues! And then go back to the cutscene before the level. So now, I'm chasing the artifact again, but the ghost hands it to some guy, and you chase him all over the place, and you need to shoot him, and then follow the blood trail through the streets of whatever generic Asian city you're in. Watch out for the fire truck bus things that keep trying to hit you, and also, this is where I ran into my first actual glitch. So while I was chasing this dude, he got hung up on some wall, and then he just ran into a pit of acid. Good job, Majesco. This level, simply put, is annoying. The sounds of the cars are loud, and you can still hear them inside the buildings. And why is that truck going backwards in the middle of the road? It's in the middle of the road going backwards! After you finish the level, you run into a fireworks factory where you shoot another 100 things while shit flies everywhere. In this level are the slowest platforms ever made. Oh, come on, I could build a sculpture of a horse taking a shit out of horse shit in the time it takes to get up there. Once you finally get up there, you just fight your way into this room where you kill everyone and just die in an explosion. Yeah, whatever. Alright, next level. This level's just a clusterfuck. From the beginning, shit's flying at you everywhere. You're constantly running and jumping off walls and getting stuck in walls. Look at this, I didn't mean to run in here, and now I'm stuck. The door won't open, and now I have to run the clock out until I die and restart the level. I could just load another game, but I fucked up and I haven't been saving this whole time. So now, I gotta sit in this room for over 8 minutes. Kill me. The end of this level has a boss fight, and man, let me tell you about the boss fights in this game. For a while, I had no idea what to do because when you shoot the boss, there's no indication you're even hitting him. I thought maybe there's some trick or something, but then after hammering the triggers over and over again until my fingers are numb, the mission just ends. The next level is just a fetch quest. Collect key cards to open doors and find the exit. It's annoying, it's boring, and every time you use the card, a message pops up to tell you that you used the card and stays on the screen for what feels like an hour. You gotta love this dance floor area with that jammin' 3-second loop. Can you imagine going to a nightclub and the only song playing is a 3-second loop of auditory anal grease? One thing I forgot to mention, because I couldn't figure out how to do it until now, is Drake has the ability to freeze time, but it freezes and slows you down too, so you end up taking hits either way. By this point, the game ramps up the difficulty and frustration to the highest possible level. Enemies teleport out of nowhere, and this is the very beginning of the stage. The game fills each room with as many enemies as fucking possible, and now they're even more powerful. This is the very beginning of the level, and I'm dead. The worst part is that the level also begins to focus more on platform jumping. This is where the problems in the game really mount up, and it just builds inside you with all this rage, and you become just boiling so fucking hot that it's not like you're in hell, you've become hell! Bad people die and they go into you! This level is based on riding elevators and making jumps, but Drake does whatever the fuck he feels like. Also, if you fall from too high, you die. I almost cried trying to beat this elevator level, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Because if this game doesn't bring you to the verge of spilling rage-filled tears of anger, then you can't be human. This level has you flying through the air on fans trying to reach the right door. Sometimes the fans work, and sometimes you go right through it. And sometimes the fan's so powerful it shoots you up to the ceiling and kills you. It's one of those sometimes games. Sometimes you'll struggle not to tear out your eyelashes, and sometimes you'll throw the Xbox out the fucking window.
Another thing I don't get is every time you start the level, the camera faces towards Drake, so you start off going in the wrong direction. It's not a huge deal, but it's annoying, especially when you fight this robot boss. I mean, look at this. The level hasn't even started, and I get hit, losing almost 20 health. How is that fair? I mean, shit's flying all over the place. I don't even know what's hitting me. And before I know it, I'm dead. What the fuck? I froze time before I died, and it's still frozen. So you defeat the boss, you rescue your master, and now you gotta go down into the subway and... Ah! What the fuck? I can't fucking stand this. I would cheat, but they didn't even program cheat codes. But how could they? They can't even program a fucking game. Whether you have the patience or just fucking hate yourself, it is possible to make it to the end. The game may be unplayable, but it isn't impossible. When you get there, get ready for the culmination of all the shit you've experienced so far in concentrated anal suppository form. The final levels are all the same, with some minor differences. Each level begins with a stroll down Satan's shit chute and ends with the most frustrating platforming so far. At the end, you fight a boss. But here's the thing, at the beginning of the level, it says you can only damage the ghost when using the slow or freeze motion abilities. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a complete fucking lie. It's probably why you fight him on a giant mound of bullshit, too. I wonder if the ghost ass is actually the bullshit man in disguise. So anyway, don't listen to what the game says. Just shoot the fuck out of him until the game decides, it's had enough and ends the level. After you kill him, you have to grab the artifact and equip it to fly around, but go too slow and you get too dead. If you manage to do it right, you fly around like a fucking idiot grabbing blue balls in the void of hell. It's hard to die here, and it's pretty pointless, but whatever. Alright, this is it. The final boss. Almost free from this hellhole. It's time to slay the Spirit Lord Supreme. This boss is a metric ton of fuck. Convert that and you got 2,205 pounds of pure fuck shit pissness. But I'm here. We've come this far, and it's time to end this. I don't know if it's a glitch, but when you don't face the boss, he won't hit you as much. Shoot the bones until that weird techno music kicks in and unleash all the fury of the undying dragon on the Spirit Lord Supreme. And you know what? I know I said not to use the machine guns, but here, let's do it. I love this plan. See you on the other side.
He returns.
With the artifact.
I've done it. I've fulfilled the prophecy. I've avenged my master. I am the one. Whoa.
Become one with the undying dragon, nerd. Then the power will be yours.
I have a confession. I totally missed out on the Tomb Raider craze. Full disclosure, I saved all my money for a Nintendo 64, so I missed out on all the PlayStation games that everybody talks about, like Metal Gear Solid, Symphony of the Night, Final Fantasy VII, and yes, Tomb Raider. In the mid-90s and early 2000s, Tomb Raider was one of the biggest game franchises. Every year we got a new Tomb Raider game. I can see why people liked it. It revolutionized 3D platforming the same way Super Mario 64 did. The puzzles were fun, the settings were cool, the music was atmospheric, and the action was top-notch for the time. Seemed like the only thing bigger than the games was its star, Lara Croft. Lara Croft was basically Indiana Jones for the 90s. You thought Indy was badass? Lara goes from fighting wolves and dinosaurs to mummies and eventually skinless Atlantean demons straight from a Clive Barker movie. Oh, and bats. She also fights bats. Can't forget those. Lara Croft's popularity took the world by storm. She was the first female game protagonist to get this kind of attention.
Her fame transcended the games, and she ended up being on the cover of magazines and even the spokesperson for products. I'm not kidding. She was in car commercials, soda commercials, and an ad for Visa. Seems like the world was obsessed with Lara Croft. Even in the early episodes, when I always had that Zelda poster, on the other side, Lara was here all along. I'm not sure why everyone was into Lara Croft, but I can guess a couple of reasons. These days, she still appears in games and even had a few movies based off her. Her fame might not be as big as it was back then, but it's clear she will still be kicking ass in video games for a long time.
But they can't all be hits, and that's why I'm gonna go on a journey to find the worst Tomb Raider games ever made. Now you gotta pack, because when you're dealing with shitty games, you gotta really be prepared for these. Because these games, who knows how bad they're gonna be. I mean, we might find some vile fucking crap here. So you gotta bring all the necessities here.
So here's Tomb Raider Chronicles, the 5th in the series, but the first to fail critically and financially. The game opens with Lara's funeral. Yeah, that's right, the last game ended with her dying. The developers were tired of doing Tomb Raider and hoped the 4th game would be the end. Well, maybe if I killed off my character, I wouldn't have to review any more shitty games. Just kidding, not yet. The game centers around a group of her friends sharing stories of her adventures. After that, we get a loading screen where I noticed something interesting. There's a credit for Timex. Yeah, Timex, the watch company. Would they make this game on a ZX Spectrum? Oh, here's why. It's an ad for a grip clip watch. Lara uses it in the game to keep track of her time and progress. So right away, this game just sells out with a product placement. It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad. The first story is about Lara trying to find the Philosopher's Stone in Rome. It starts off with a quick reminder of the basic controls and introduces new mechanics like parallel bar swinging and tightrope walking. Other than that, it's the same old thing. Everything looks and feels like the previous games, right down to Lara's outfit, although her shorts are see-through now for some reason. You go around, find keys, flip switches, and kill some gargoyles and a crazy squid thing that shoots lasers. You even get to fight a couple statues that look like Talos from Jason the Argonauts. It gets kind of confusing when gladiators show up. Are these gladiators left over from the Roman Empire? Have they just been hanging out down here for thousands of years? Or are they just employees at the Colosseum dressed as gladiators? I hope not, because you shoot the hell out of them. Damn, I'd hate to see Lara at a Renaissance fair. Chronicles is just a soulless rehash of the other games and a shameless advertisement for a watch no one remembers. I don't know what else to say about it, so I'll just quote one of the developers of the game. Tomb Raider 5 was effectively a load of old shit. That was the most depressing one for us. We were effectively just doing that for a paycheck because no other team wanted to take it on, so we had to do it basically. By that time, it had taken its toll. 3 years of hammering it and we were burnt out. That shows in the product. Oh my god. This might be the first time someone who made the game reviewed it for me. Huh. So here it is, the holy grail of shitty Tomb Raider games. Angel of Darkness. It was so bad, it killed the studio making it, and nearly killed the whole franchise. This was the first Tomb Raider game on the PS2. It was going to usher Lara Croft into a new age with a bigger, better adventure. There would be larger environments and more stuff to do. It would be a whole new game. Or it would have been if the development wasn't such a disaster. The problems start right at the beginning. The opening cutscene introduces Laura in a dark office where her associate gets killed by someone off screen. This is how you open your fun action-adventure game? By ripping off Clue? Compare this to the first game, which opens in an exotic location and has Laura murdering fucking wolves. But then Angel of Darkness starts off with a tutorial, and you better not fuck up, because if you die without saving, you start at the beginning. And I don't mean the beginning of the level, I mean the beginning of the whole game. No checkpoints, nothing, so get used to saving. Save after every puzzle, save after every enemy, and save after every jump. And the jumping. You would think, since this is PS2, the controls would be better than PS1. But you'd be wrong. They're extremely clunky, and that's the reason why you die so much. You know what would have been nice? A training section where I could practice these new controls without affecting the main game. You know, like the Croft Manor section in the old games. Oh, and this is one of those PS2 games where you have to use an older TV, because if it's on an HD TV, it's so dark you can't see anything unless you turn the brightness all the way up, black out your windows, and then shoot a rocket into the sun, covering the whole solar system in darkness. And then maybe you'll be able to see something. I'm not kidding. This one jump took me 20 to 30 minutes because I couldn't see there was a ledge to grab onto. I had to turn the brightness all the way up. Yeah, it's no wonder why they call this Angel of Darkness. You also notice some of this footage looks like it's in slow motion. I thought maybe it was some bullet time or Max Payne shit, but no, the game will randomly slow down. One part was entirely slow-mo, unless I was jumping. But even when it's running at the right speed, Laura still feels too slow. In fact, this entire game makes Laura weaker, and the reason for that was because originally it was supposed to have a progression system where you level up, so as the game goes on, you gain more abilities, but unfortunately, that got cut. Now you have to reach a certain point in the game to get a new ability. Climbing this wall will make you be able to climb longer. Moving this box will give you the ability to move 2 boxes. Kicking a huge metal drawbridge will give you the ability to open a small door. That doesn't even make any sense! The creators spent so much time figuring out how to make Laura's boobs jiggle, they forgot to make her fun to play. By the way, the camera in this game sucks. It constantly fucks you up and makes jumping difficult. At one point, the camera goes into Laura's head, and it's one of the most horrifying images I've seen. In the words of one of the people who made the game, the camera was just a complete pig. Yeah, that's one way to put it. One of the new things this game intended to introduce was stealth. I'm not sure why though. There's no penalty for not being stealthy. I could probably sneak up on some people, or I can just easily kill them. Why introduce stealth if it was going to be optional? I guess one of the new things introduced that kind of works is the dialogue trees. At least with this first one, your decision affects the game. Now we finally get to the Paris level, which was meant to be this big open world with many things to interact with, but unfortunately, it just turned into a big empty wasteland. Whatever was meant to be in the Paris level must have been big, because you can't go 5 feet without the game loading the next area. You turn into an alley, load. You walk up a staircase, load. You walk from one end of the street to another, load. Load, load, load! Too many fucking loads! There's a store you can go in when asking people how to get into a nightclub. You have one conversation and never go back to this place again. This was supposed to be a place that you'd come back to later in the game, but everything was removed except this one scene. Then there's the boxing match. It doesn't matter who you pick because the winner is totally random. Sometimes the game glitches and they don't fight at all. Just keep reloading until the person you picked wins. And what do you get out of this?
I bet all the cash in my pocket against your fancy gold watch that I can pick the best fighter.
A watch that you can sell? This? I don't need this lousy stinking Timex watch! So here's a weird thing I found. There's this guy in the park. You walk up to him and he just says the same thing over and over.
Leave me alone, I'm busy! Leave me alone, I'm busy!
Busy? Busy doing what? Staring at a wall? A guy standing in the park all by himself saying he's busy. He looks like the least busy person in the world. That's all he says. Turns out he's one of 2 people who help you get into the club. I talked to someone else first, so that triggers this guy to just say the same thing over and over.
Leave me alone, I'm busy.
Eventually, I got into the nightclub where I noticed 2 more glitches. While climbing the light fixtures, I randomly just started climbing onto thin air. Yeah, this kind of floating happens a couple times. I once even got stuck in the air, split in 2, and started phasing in and out of reality. The next glitch is more common. If you think you're about to die, it's faster to just pause and restart from your last save. But if you pause in the middle of Laura's death scream, you'll get this. It just drills on your ears. It's like you're going to be hearing that in your nightmares. Hey, have you noticed anything in these levels? I'm raiding apartments, churches, nightclubs. Shouldn't I be raiding tombs? I haven't seen a single tomb yet. I made it to a graveyard, but all they had were crypts. Instead, I have to go to the Louvre and kill some security guards. I'm not even sure if they're bad guys, but the game doesn't penalize me for killing them. Maybe Laura is just a violent murderer. Eventually, you go underground and actually find a tomb. Wow. It's broken up into 4 parts: earth, wind, water, and fire. This is the only part in the game so far that actually feels like Tomb Raider. And they still fuck it up. The water level has these spikes that come out of nowhere. After making a careful jump in the fire level, a rock will shoot you into the air, or you'll just die for no reason. In the wind level, I went to jump on a log and instead fell through it. Fuck! Tomb Raider games are known for secret areas, and I found one here, but it's not because I found a clue or scaled some wall or something. No, it's because the game glitched. Next, to go back to the Louvre, which is full of toxic gas. Laura needs to run to a cabinet and grab a gas mask, but the people she's killing along the way have gas masks. Why can't I just take theirs? Why are they overcomplicating this? Who the fuck is this guy? Why are they giving him so much attention? And why does he have the glaive from Kroll? Why am I playing as him? You know, they couldn't even get Lara Croft right. Why should I be excited about playing as this asshole? Believe it or not, his controls are clunkier than Laura's, and he's even less fun to play. Everything about him is lame. His hair, his soul patch, and his dumbass mind powers let him see stuff around corners or in other rooms. I need to finish it. I need to finish the game!
Junior, let it go.
But I'm so close. I'm so close. I can finish it.
Nerd, let it go.
You're right. Fuck the shitty game. So, the whole story is, the game was rushed out, unfinished, it failed, and then Core Design, the company who originally made Tomb Raider, shut down. It was so bad that Paramount blamed it for Tomb Raider Cradle of Life's low box office. Oh, and have you ever noticed the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies aren't called Tomb Raider? They're officially called Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Lara Croft Tomb Raider The Cradle of Life. What a mouthful. Did they just read the movie poster out loud? Might be why it took 15 years to get another feature film, which was simply called Tomb Raider. Unless the real title was supposed to be Alicia Vikander is Lara Croft Tomb Raider March 16th Experience it in IMAX. But that's probably too much for a theater marquee, right? Anyway, it was the end of an era, but my journey leads to one last game. One almost forgotten, like the shit you took last month. The Nokia N-Gage. Nokia's attempt to mix a phone with a gaming system. These days, it's common to play a game on your phone, but back then, options were kinda limited. But Nokia was here to change that. They had a pretty impressive catalog, too. Stuff like Call of Duty, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and of course, Tomb Raider. Before we play the game, we have to put it in, right? No problem, let's just pop the back off the phone, then you pull out the battery. I hope no one tries to call me while I'm doing this. So then we insert the SD card, pop the battery back in, put the case back on, and we're ready. Well, it's Tomb Raider. That's what it is. It's a remake of the first game, only adjusted to fit onto the N-Gage. The animated cutscenes are removed and replaced with text over static images. They also got rid of the music. All you hear now is footsteps, gunshots, and enemies growling. I gotta admit, it's pretty impressive how they were able to fit the whole PS1 game onto a tiny SD card back then. It has all the same moves from the first game. One annoying difference is that when you press forward, Lara will keep running until you stop her or she hits something. It makes timing jumps real difficult. And the camera is mildly shitty. Early PlayStation games didn't have the best graphics, and they got even worse when you shrink them down. I'm not sure why they didn't just port one of the 2D Game Boy games instead. Well, it was an interesting experiment, but ultimately a failure. The N-Gage couldn't compete with the Game Boy Advance and eventually faded into obscurity. Oh shit!
Leave me alone, I'm busy.
Capcom is a name that needs no introduction. In the 80s and 90s, Capcom was one of the most dominant companies in the arcade and home console market. You'd be hard-pressed to go somewhere in public and not see a Capcom machine or one of their games at somebody's house. In 1993, Capcom began development on a new game with a focus on horror. Originally conceived as a remake of the 1989 horror RPG Sweet Home for the Famicom, Capcom put Tokuro Fujiwara, the game's original director, in charge of the project. Fujiwara made his name in Capcom as the producer and sometimes director of a ton of great games such as Ghosts and Goblins, Bionic Commando, DuckTales, and Chip and Dale on the NES. Hell, he even produced almost every Mega Man game on the NES and SNES. Best of all though, he produced the classic Street Fighter 2010. Hot damn. To direct the project, Fujiwara chose Shinji Mikami, the designer of Disney's Aladdin and Goof Troop on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, no joke. Who would have thought that the designer of Goof Troop would go on to create one of the most iconic horror series ever made? In '96, Resident Evil came out. The game revolutionized the horror gaming genre, even going as far as coining the term survival horror. The series is still going strong today, spawning a shit ton of sequels, as well as a movie that also spawned a shit ton of sequels. But today, I want to focus mainly on the PlayStation 1 era of Resident Evil. The game's focused less on all-out combat and more on conserving your items. This adds a lot of tension because if you run out of ammo, you're fucked. This is where the survival part of the genre comes in. It's about escaping rather than fighting. The controls take a lot of time getting used to. I've referred to them in the past as tank controls because pushing up makes you move forward no matter what direction you're facing. Pair this with the camera angles and it's real disorienting. I fucking hated the tank controls, but looking back on it, it did nothing to hurt Resident Evil's legacy. One thing I find funny is at the end of every game, you trigger a self-destruct timer. It's like they couldn't come up with any more ideas how to end the games, so they just rehashed the ending of the first one. After making the first 3 games for the PlayStation, Capcom set its eyes on the new systems that were on the horizon. From here on out, Resident Evil was going next gen. Except for one last game on the PlayStation, Resident Evil Survivor. The game came out in 2000. By then, a real Resident Evil sequel called Code Veronica had already hit the Dreamcast. Not to mention, the PlayStation 2 was only a few months away. So basically, this game is kicking the PlayStation while it's already down. Mainly in the balls. This game is... Hear that? Hey, who are you guys? And why are you in my yard? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hey! Come here!
Wow, what an asshole.
Jill, run for that house!
Yeah, fuck that. I'm going home. You see that shit? Well, I guess I gotta explain. The Umbrella Corporation, they moved in next door, set up a secret lab, and now there's monsters and stuff, and I don't know what to do. Well, I guess I'll pop in the disc, play some Resident Evil Survivor, have a pint, and wait for all this to blow over. How's that for a slice of fried ass? So here we are, Resident Evil Survivor, the turd of the series. The unplanned turd when Capcom shit their PlayStation pants beyond any hope of cleaning. So bad they had to throw it away. The game starts with a wall of text that takes forever to scroll. Even the narrator doesn't have the patience to wait for it. He reads most of it before it even hits the screen.
To wipe out the entire city. However, this was not the only location where an outbreak occurred.
Then the cutscene starts, and man is it ugly. Just look at the intros for Resident Evil 2. At the time, these looked great, and this came out 2 years before. So this guy's seen hanging from a helicopter, falls off, and the copter crashes. Then that same helicopter shits another guy out. Seriously, look at this. The helicopter's on fire, and this dude just shoots out like a turd with an explosive fart behind it. And there's your main character, Helicopter Diarrhea. What a lame character. He looks generic, and his clothes are that particular shade of mold-covered shit green. Man, how many times can I talk about shit before I even played the damn game? So the game starts, and it's in first person, which seems like it would be awesome. Yeah, a first-person Resident Evil game sounds like a great idea on paper. Too bad it's on toilet paper. You know, I've probably talked about shit more times than I've actually shit. But it's a fact that when they wrote down the idea for this game, they wrote it on toilet paper. Toilet paper that was already used. All right, let's get on with this. The main problem is they kept the controls of the other games. Also, to fight, you have to hold down R1 and move a cursor on your target. The game was originally made as a light gun shooter with GunCon support, but that might have made the game somewhat decent, and that's obviously not what they were going for here. You run into an alley and fight the first zombie, and it's awful. You shoot him 4 times, he falls awkwardly and shits a key out. Seriously, look at it. It comes out of his ass. You know, I'm starting to notice a trend here. The zombie shits out a key, the helicopter shits out the main character, and Capcom shit out this game. After you pick up the key, you choose between 3 doors. Each one brings you to a different location. This place is some kind of movie theater. Here you come to your first puzzle, if you even call it that. In the older games, you had to solve puzzles to find certain items and open new paths. Some were easy, like pushing blocks to make a bridge, but others you'd have to use a little more thought, like pushing buttons in the correct order to find an item. Resident Evil Survivor, however, just has you find an item in the same room and use it. Here, you find some film and put it in the projector. Afterwards, you run back to the theater, and there's a key for no reason. So you get the key and leave the theater. Then you encounter some zombie dogs and a ringing phone. The phone hang up? How about the fucking game turn off? At this point, the game starts throwing a variety of enemies at you, but you always face one type at a time. There's a mix of monsters from the first 3 games, like these jumping lizard guys called hunters, giant spiders, birds, and lickers. Yeah, that's their name because they have a giant tongue they lick you with. Real clever. Sometimes you run into this big asshole. At first I thought he was the boss, but he's so easy and he shows up a lot. At one point you're walking in this dark cave or something and there's like 10 of them. They give you ammo when you kill them by shitting it out, of course. The same guy shows up in Resident Evil 2, but there he's scary. He stalks you all throughout the second scenario. He even transforms in the end and becomes the final boss. But here, he just walks around like he's lost and lets you shoot him. Seriously, I kill every one of these guys and barely ever take a hit. So anyway, I head into this library and there's this tiny bald guy who calls you Vincent. He tells you that this is all your fault and then he runs away. I sense a twist. It turns out that the little guy is the janitor of the fucking sewer and he actually lives down there. You find this out by reading his diary that's just left on a desk. Dear Diarrhea, I'm the biggest fucking loser in the whole world! Through reading it, you also discover the main character is the evil Vincent, a high-ranking member of the Umbrella Corporation and the man responsible for the outbreak. What a twist!
I am Vincent. It was all my fault.
Then a kid walks in and dances like he has ghost peppers concealed in his... you know where. The character animation in this game is laughable. They all look like they're doing the robot. Even the zombies are animated like shit. When you kill them, they fall like a sack of bricks. Wow. Either there's some frames missing, or a gravity rift opens and thrusts them to the floor at the speed of light. It's hard to believe, but the voice acting is the worst of any Resident Evil. I know people joke about the first one.
What is this? Wow. What a mansion! That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Everything was plotted from the start by Umbrella.
But listen to this!
Hello? Can you hear me? Who are you? What are you doing? Answer me! Umbrella. So this is where the city is controlled from.
There's a prison area with a bunch of naked zombies everywhere. Of course you find a bunch more diarrhea. This one's from a prisoner that says he was abducted by the Men in Black. Oh, does that mean Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones work for Umbrella too? After the prison, you go into this office building and get to see probably the funniest cutscene in any game ever. It starts off with a voice message from Vincent's mom.
Vincent, it's me, your mother.
My mother?
Vincent, please, listen to your mother. I want you to leave Umbrella. I want you to stop performing those terrible crimes and just come back home.
That's in the finished game. Next, you get the worst run cycle ever. Look at that. The kid runs full force and only goes like 3 feet. Was this really the best they could have done? So you chase these little bastards through a river or something, and you run into these weird vibrating giant spiders. I think they glitched, but I played through this part a couple times, and it always happens. The game I have is in near perfect condition, so my only conclusion is they're meant to just vibrate. After that, you get to the kid's house. There's some items here, including herbs. I forgot to mention that herbs are the method of healing in the Resident Evil series. The programmers of this game should have smoked less herbs. You can combine herbs together if you have an hour of free time. Just look at this. I picked up a red herb and I want to combine it with the green herb to make a full heal. I select the green herb and then have to find the red herb. The scrolling takes forever. In the older games, it was like 2 seconds. Also, I feel the Resident Evil way of using items was always weird. First, you find an item and check it, and then it asks if you want the item. Well, considering I went to pick it up, I'd say I fucking want it. Imagine if that's how it worked in real life. Where the fuck did my beard go? When you get to the kid's house, you find the girl hiding in a room. It turns out the boy went to the umbrella factory, so you have to go find him. How he made it there is beyond me, because there's all kinds of hunters, dogs, and those big trench coat bastards. The umbrella factory has some of the worst music I've ever heard. And Resident Evil's known for having great music. It's creepy and unsettling. But this sounds like somebody bought a $2 Casio at the Goodwill and threw it down the stairs. How are they okay with this? Was there any quality assurance? So after running through a ton more monsters, you find the kid. He's being attacked by a hunter monster, so you shoot it. And now the kid loves you.
Please forgive me. What are you talking about? It's not your fault. Vincent is the one who caused everything. Well, I mean,
You? What do you mean? You're the detective. Your name is Ark Thompson.
What?
So it turns out you aren't Vincent. You're some dickhead named Ark Thompson, and you were acting as a spy to expose the Umbrella Corporation. The guy dressed in white who fell from the helicopter is actually Vincent. What a twist. This is where the game's writers make the lousiest attempt possible to connect this game to the Resident Evil canon.
That's right. At the request of my friend Leon S. Kennedy, I came here to investigate. Oh, yes. I remember everything.
That's right, Leon from Resident Evil 2 is this asshole's friend. Leon was probably sending Ark there to die. Also, I find it weird he calls Leon by his full name. Who the fuck does that? And this is internal monologue. He isn't talking to anyone. So you send the kid, by himself, back to find the girl, and they're supposed to meet you at the evacuation route later. Oh, and cue that self-destruct timer.
The self-destruction system has been activated.
Now, I've only been playing about an hour, and I'm at the end of the game already. Compared to the other Resident Evil games, this one is easy as fuck. This is my first time playing through, and I'm about to beat it. Sure, I've died a couple times, but this game has continues instead of ink ribbons like in the other games. I guess that's one good thing about it. The only good thing. Anyway, the last area is the same as the rest. Find an item, open a door, and run through. This time, however, the weird sewer janitor comes to kill you, because he still thinks you're Vincent. Too bad he gets killed by this Naked Claw guy. I know he's called the Tyrant, but I like Naked Claw guy better. Like every other thing in this game, he's easy. He runs around swiping at the air until he dies. Or does he? On to the next room, where the two kids are somehow already at the evacuation train waving. So let me get this straight. This kid has time to run all the way back to the house, get his sister, run all the way to the factory, and find the train, all before you do. And plus, there's monsters all over. Either these kids are really badass, or Ark Thompson is a huge pussy. I'll let you decide, because I already have. To move the train, you have to run and hit a switch that's right next to it. This game just keeps going halfway with its puzzles. Why even have them? This is yet another fetch quest on the large dung heap of other fetch quests throughout the game. So you run to one end of the room, then run to the door and get to a helipad. But watch out, the Naked Claw guy from before is crouched on a rooftop like fucking Batman just waiting for you. He jumps down and the final boss fight begins. All he does is run around with his mouth open and swings at you. It's terrifying. Oh, sorry, I meant embarrassing. As long as you keep walking backwards and shooting, he can't hit you. What a joke! Shoot him enough times and his shoulder eyeball grows or something, and then he gets bigger. So now it's the final battle, which isn't much different from the first final battle. You run around, shoot him, he dies, or does he? You get on the helicopter, everything seems good, and you fly away. The end. Or is it? No, the monster somehow gets to your helicopter after you fly 1,000 feet up and the entire fucking island explodes. It makes no sense, but what happens next makes even less sense. So you shoot him with a missile, and then shoot a missile into the other missile, and now he's dead. The helicopter does the most awkward flyby, and the game ends. Or does it? No, it does, for real this time. There's the credits. Oh, and to answer my question from earlier, according to the credits, there was no quality assurance. No game testers at all. And that means no one checked this game before it came out. What a surprise. After beating it, you have the option to save the guns you found during your playthrough for another run. There are different story segments depending on the route you take, but I give 2 less shits than I did before. All it changes is who gets killed by the naked claw guy. So I guess it's an attempt at adding replay value. Replay value. But is it replay value if you never want to replay it ever again? So if you have an hour and a half to spare and don't value your time on Earth at all, then you can run through it a second time. But me, I'd rather huff the anal exhaust from an elephant.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed
Oh no.
to the emergency car.
Oh, those assholes must have triggered my neighbor's self-destruct system. I gotta get out of here before everything explodes!
5 minutes until detonation. Repeat, all employees proceed to the bottom platform. Repeat, all employees proceed to the bottom platform. Repeat, all employees proceed to the bottom platform.
Hey, nerd! Take this! Boom, James. Yes, I wanna fucking take it! Lights out, bitch! Oh, good. You made it out too. Well, thanks for destroying my fucking house! You fucks.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Nerd. The Angry Video Game Nerd.
the past to play the shitty games that suck ass. He'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in his ear. He'd rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk and down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd.
In all the annals of history, no game has ever slurped so much shit as Hydlide. Well, actually, no, not really, because compared to the shit I play, it's pretty much intermediate diarrhea. But anyway, 8 years ago, I played the first Hydlide. Since then, I've gotten a lot of requests to review the other Hydlide games. The other Hydlide games? Because the first one was so good. You gotta have more. You know, sequels to games that already suck Donkey Kong Dong, that I can't stand. I can't stand the sound of it. Hydlide. Hydlide. Guess we just gotta get it all out. So here's Super Hydlide on the Sega Genesis and Virtual Hydlide on the Sega Saturn. Virtual Hydlide is actually a remake of the original, while Super Hydlide is a Genesis port of the third Hydlide game from Japan. Yes, you heard me right. This is the third installment. The second one was only in Japan. Japan should have kept them all and incinerated them. So, without further ado, let's start with Super Hydlide. Let's pop this fucker in and get this over with. The game starts up with a collection of the most shrill noises the Genesis could possibly produce. This is the closest you could get to 16-bit nails on a chalkboard, and it's playing over one of the worst logos ever designed by humans. If you didn't already know this is a Hydlide review, you'd have no idea what that says. So right off the bat, it's an all-out assault of the senses on two fronts. And look at that cutscene. It looks like a 2-year-old discovered Microsoft Paint. When you start, you're given the option of a character class. There's 4: warrior, thief, priest, and monk. The one thing I do like about the game is you can put up to 8 letters for your name, so I can write pretty much any curse word I like in here, like fucker or dick-face dildo. Nah, it doesn't fit. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the classic standby. Ass! And with that, we have the last nice thing I will ever say about this game. Dear Lord, look at this. Everything looks like pixelated ass splatter. The people are nothing but a diuretic debacle moving around at 1 frame a second. I can't even tell which one I am. I mean, for the love of sweet shit-take mushrooms, and yes, like the annals of history, I know what it is. It's shit-take, but it's spelled shit-take! This game looks like the glitch gremlin had a freaky fuckfest all over it, and this isn't even a glitch! It's just how the game looks! This game looks like the original, and it's twice the bits. Supposedly, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Well, this one does jack shit! Super Hydlide is just downright ugly, and it came out in 1990. Phantasy Star 2 came out on Genesis the same year and looks 10 times better. I mean, even Final Fantasy on the NES had better graphics than this hog vomit. So let's play the damn thing. The first thing I do is go out of the town and get my ass handed to me. Your character doesn't start with weapons, you have to buy them, so you walk all over this hodgepodge building that defies all architectural logic. Oh, and be careful when you're buying stuff, because everything in this game has weight. I understand this is commonplace in most RPGs now, but how does it make sense that a dagger weighs twice the amount of a goddamn club? Is the dagger made of solid lead? Fuck it, I'm buying a club. Ass! So it turns out I'm also supposed to stop at the general store and buy some healing items. Where's the general store, you might ask? Why, in a generic unmarked building that looks like a regular house. Seriously, how was I supposed to know that? At least the weapons store looks like an important building. The general store is tucked away in the back like it doesn't matter. And again, what's up with the weight? Why does the Japanese helmet weigh as much as a club and dagger combined?
Oh, and be sure to buy some food too, because if it gets too far past lunchtime, you lose health and die of starvation. I actually timed it. It takes about 2 hours in-game before you die. So don't skip any meals in this world. The consequences could be deadly. Imagine living in this world. You're late for work, so you skip breakfast, and then 2 hours later, you're in the middle of a meeting, and you drop fucking dead in front of all your coworkers. Nothing left but a withered husk. Tragic. So now that I have all my crap, it's time to kill monsters. But not all the monsters. You gotta make sure you're only killing the evil monsters. According to the manual, killing good monsters will lower your morality and you won't become a true hero. So don't kill the slime, tree spirit, or phantom, but do kill the heavy slime, cannibal, and wraith. Makes sense, right? Except it's all in black and white and they all look the same. And for the love of God, don't kill Sarah, the kangaroo rabbit thing. So after killing a fuck ton of monsters, you can use your experience points at the temple to level up, or buy spells at the wizard's house. The first spell you get is Illusion. All it does is make everyone on the screen freak out. Also, for some reason, at 18 o'clock, everything turns yellow. I guess it's sunset, but it looks more like all the grass just dies and the world turns into a 16-bit piss puddle. I have no idea what to do. After running around for hours, and that's real life hours, not in-game, I found these 2 locations. One is this place where all it gives you is a sound test. Why would I want to walk into a random abandoned town just to hear the music from this game? The other location is this maze. I walk around and just die over and over and over in the same place. I can't figure out where to go. The townspeople just give vague hints, but no actual direction. I can't even buy armor because it weighs too much. So after dying over and over, I've realized something. I'd rather set up a slip and slide over a ruptured septic tank than play any more of it. And that's something I've never even tried yet. In conclusion, the game is shit. Literally. And yes, I mean literally. The game is actually shit. I will back up this claim by reading from a book by Harry G. Frankfurt, a professor of philosophy at Princeton University. The book is on bullshit. It does seem fitting to construe carelessly made shoddy goods as bullshit, but in what way? Is the resemblance that bullshit itself is invariably produced in a careless or self-indulgent manner that is never finely crafted? The word shit does suggest this. Excrement is not designed or crafted at all. It is merely emitted or dumped. So while the game did not actually come out of somebody's asshole, it sure came out in the same manner. Well, one good thing, you can turn off the Sega, take the game out, and place it somewhere dark and out of the way so you never have to play it again. Maybe Virtual Hydlide will be the redeemer of the series. I mean, just read the back of the box. This game is the first 3D polygon action RPG for any new generation system. It has a digitized main character for the ultimate in realism, computer graphics and 3D backgrounds created on high-tech workstations, plus a unique create a world function with over 40 billion possible combinations. That's a billion with a B, as in bullshit. So let's refresh. You take the crap factor of the original 8-bit Hydlide, doubled up to get 16-bit shit Super Hydlide, then add a whole new dimension of suckfuckery and get Virtual Hydlide. More like virtually unplayable. Oh yeah, it's on the Saturn, so I have to set the date and time. I'll let it keep thinking it's 94, so it doesn't know its cruel fate of being discontinued. Man, oh man, look at those graphics. Did someone sneeze all over the camera lens? The beginning is basically the same as the original Hydlide, where the dragon guy turns the princess into 3 fairies, just with a lot higher production values. This is kind of like Hydlide's Special Edition. To start the game, you need to create a new world. This randomly generates the layout. You still have to do the same quests in the same order, but the locations change. So, who gives a shit? The fuck? Oh god, this can't be real. I'm wiping the steam from my glasses. The steam that's rising from this pile of goat shit. It looks like the deformed bastard child of CDI Zelda and Ocarina of Time Zelda. Why does he walk like that? What a sight to behold. Never in all my years have I gazed upon something as grotesquely hideous as virtual Hydlide. You have every shade of the vomit rainbow, and the barf rainbow too. And the first enemies I face are trees. I'm fighting the scenery! Man, what a letdown. And the back of the box did such a good job hyping it up. If you can't believe the back of a box, who can you trust? So the game is a big fetch quest. Just follow the blue mark on the compass, grab the item you need, and run to the next. And just like in the original, I have to grab the crucifix from the graveyard to kill the vampire. In the vampire's mansion, you have to touch a bunch of balls to open a door. The camera doesn't seem to know what to do with itself, and the narrow halls really showcase the terrible controls. This place is a mess. At the end, you get to the first boss fight against the vampire. He even talks. I know what he said. All he said was bullshit. Literally. And yes, I mean literally. To quote Frankfurt again, just as hot air is speech that has been emptied of all informative content, so excrement is matter from which everything nutritive has been removed. Excrement may be regarded as the corpse of nourishment, what remains when the vital elements in food have been exhausted. In this respect, excrement is a representation of death. Okay, this book is losing me. Have you ever looked into a toilet and said, "Oh shit, I shat out a dead body"? Perhaps it is for making death so intimate that we find excrement so repulsive. Or is it perhaps because it stinks? Yeah, so just as a turd is virtually a corpse, virtual Hydlide is virtually a game. But anyway, the vampire's a pushover, so hand him his ass. Hand it to him. Just make sure to equip the crucifix, then stand in front of him and swing. Yeah, kill that motherfucker. You get Tool. Well, yeah, I get Tool. They're awesome. The band. As long as I don't have to play this cold and ugly game sober as you vicariously watch me as I hold a grudge with a hooker at the... Oh, never mind, back to the game. Killing the vampire gets you the super magic lamp. You need this to light up the next dungeon. In here, you get a dark sword which shoots Hadoukens at enemies. It makes the game a lot better. Well, it makes it slightly more tolerable. This dungeon doesn't even have a boss, just a couple of chests. You get Tool again and run to the next dungeon. One thing that really pisses me off is having to run back through the dungeon after getting the item. It doesn't warp you to the beginning like in Zelda. You have to run all the way back the way you came. And the later dungeons are long as hell. Some even have more than one level. Now you get the Spectacles of Truth, which let you find secret entrances in the next area. They also turn everything red. It makes the game look like you're playing an interactive colonoscopy, which would probably be more fun. Okay, I can't take this anymore. I'll finish it after lunch. Alright, nice and refreshed. Let's finish this garbage. I have to set the date every time? What's the point of a clock then? What the shit? Where's my save file? The game didn't save? Oh, that's right, the battery must be dead. Because the Sega Saturn has those watch batteries inside, you have to replace them. Yeah, it's this battery right here, 2032. Alright, I'm done running errands. Time to run some virtual errands. Thankfully, you can just enter your world code and it'll be the same layout, but you still gotta start from the beginning. You only level up after completing an objective, so killing enemies is pointless. It's just for score. You can, however, use the points you earn to buy items at a store, but they're available for free in the game, so who gives a shit? The only item you should get is the Scroll of Detect. It shows all treasure chests on the map. I ended up getting back to where I was pretty fast. On top of that, I got better items than I had on my first playthrough, so that's cool, I guess. Actually, no, it isn't. The fairy armor looks real stupid. Honestly, any armor you get looks stupid on this guy, but it's powerful, so whatever. Okay, now I'm back where I left off, and it's at this point the game gets tedious as all hell. Every dungeon from here on out wraps all over the place. This is the volcanic cave. It's filled with enemies and fireballs. Even stepping on the lava marks hurt you. Oh, great, now I'm cursed. Once you find a cursed item, you can't unequip it. This really sucks because you need the dragon shield to kill the mad dragon boss. Oh man, I'm so dead. I don't want to have to run through this again. Do I have anything helpful? Scroll of herb? Here goes nothing. Alright, that actually worked. I turned the cursed shield into an herb. Now to kick the dragon's ass. Suck on that, you fuck. So more advice. On top of the scroll of detect, also get the scroll of herbs so you can turn everything into herbs. Oh yeah, I forgot. I gotta run back through this hellhole. Oh, and great, I died. Wait, I'm back at the entrance? All this time, I've been running all the way back through the dungeon when I could just kill myself to teleport? Okay, well now I know. Luckily, I found that out before the next dungeon. It's not too crazy of a maze this time, but there's multiple levels to it. Each maze takes you to an elevator down. Another nifty trick I learned is on the map screen, you can turn your character. Just point him in the right direction and hold the run button. And most of the enemies stay out of your way, too. I'm killing this dungeon. Oh shit, minecart, whoa! What would a Hydlide remake be without ripping off something from Indiana Jones? All you need is the music from the first Hydlide, and it's perfect. The boss of this dungeon is the evil mage. He floats around twiddling his thumbs or something. He's easy, but you can only hit him when he touches the ground. Get comfy because he takes forever. Oh, come on. Will you just land so I can shoot your ass? Come on! Fuck down. Get the fuck down. Get the fuck down. It feels like I'm talking to a cat. Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! So after about a week and a half of him floating around, you beat him and get the next item. It's the Tears of the Earth. The world is crying this game is so bad. You use them at this sign and you make the Fortress of fucking Solitude appear. I'm guessing that's where Superman 64 lives. This area looks confusing, but it's actually the easiest part to navigate. Just get to the center. The next part is what's annoying. It's a maze surrounding floating blocks. It's tedious, but eventually you get through and fight the boss. That I can't hurt? What? I'm hitting him with everything I got! This is bullshit! See, I hit him with that too. So it turns out the only way to beat this boss and the final one is to find the Sword of Light. That's fine and all, but maybe I could have been told that? Nowhere in the game does it ever mention needing the sword, or really any item other than the ones you get from boss fights. In fact, the game holds your hand throughout, giving you a marker to the objective at all times. The sword can be found in that part with the floating blocks, in a random chest, so you have to use the scroll detect and check every goddamn chest until you find it. How was I ever supposed to know this? I had to look it up because I couldn't believe the game would just fuck me over like that. But it did. When I looked up that information, I learned something else too. The knight's name is Jim. Jim the knight. Well, Jim doesn't sound like a knight. It sounds like a nerd. So you get the light sword, you Hadouken the monster, the building falls down and the fairies save you. Wow, look at that. He looks like Poochie the rockin' dog going back to his home planet on The Simpsons.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
This is the final level, thank God. Now you're actually playing a colonoscopy. It starts with you fighting the vampire again, but this time he has bats that swarm all over you. He's still kinda easy, you just can't bum rush him like last time. After him, you fight the mage, but this time he flies in 2 directions. Whoa. After you beat these 2 assholes, it's on to the dragon guy, Viralis, which sounds like boner medication. It's the same shit. You keep Hadoukening him, he dies, you win, cue that beautiful FMV, and the fairies turn back into the princess who looks like she just got off the set of a hair metal video. Wait, what? Did she just look at the camera? Is she related to the princess in Sonic 06? Thankfully, Virtual Hydlide is over. The credits play, and you get the list of shame set to some shitty stock JPEGs of the countryside. You wasted precious hours of your life to give yourself eye strain and motion sickness, and all you get is a fucking congratulations screen. Well, at least they spelled it right. Anyway, virtual Hydlide is literally bullshit. Oh, that's right. Where did I throw that book? Well, whatever. I don't have an ending planned anyway, so... Commodore, once the most popular name in the home computer industry, throughout the 80s it held its own against industry giants and etched its place in video game history with the VIC-20, Commodore 64, and Amiga line of computers. Though sadly, as time went on, the company went from competing with the likes of Apple and IBM to just becoming BM. After the video game crash of the 80s, companies emerged like Nintendo and Sega to pick up the pieces and resurrect the dying industry. Commodore would try to hang in there, but it ended up crumbling like week-old cat barf on a carpet. So what went wrong? How could a company that once ruled the home computer industry be reduced to a small footnote in video game history? You want to know the answer? The Amiga CD32. Yeah. This thing was the straw that broke the camel's back, the shit-caked baby wipe that ruptured the septic tank. After declining sales in the late 80s and early 90s, Commodore decided to take a stab at console production. The CD32 was released in Europe and Canada in September of '93 and slated to release in the US early the next year. But guess what? It never happened. Commodore wasn't allowed to release it in the US until they paid $10 million in back-owed patent royalties. On top of that, the system was discontinued only 8 months after being released, bankrupting the company. This console is such a joke that it ruined one of the biggest computer companies of all time in less than a year. Even if it did come out in the US, the original retail price for this monstrosity was $400, and that's in '93. Nowadays, with inflation, ballpark estimate that equals almost $700. You could buy 2 PlayStation 4s for that price. What were they thinking? Who in their right mind would buy this when you can get a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis for less than half the price? And because I'm the nerd, I'm gonna have to check out a stack of these games. Look at this. You can't make this stuff up. But somebody did. Oh, and after this, you gotta wash your hands because you can get pink eye from touching all this fecal matter. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, and then you gotta adapt it. It's gonna adapt to my swears. Fucking bloody cunt. Bollocks. Wank. Wank. Arse. Bollocks. Cunt. Fuck. What is this? Wait, the words are upside down. Oh, wait. No, the controller's upside down. All right, well, let's try Dangerous Streets. Now that is ass. Where's the fucking power button? Oh, it's on the back? Come on. What the fuck? It won't start. It won't start. 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 How do you start? Oh, that's perfect. I have to hold the disk hatch down just to get the game to spin. What, did I really expect this thing to work? I don't even want to play this piece of fuck to begin with, let alone one-handed holding the thing down to get it to function. There we go, the brand new CD32 add-on. A paint can. It's like the hillbilly cousin of the 32X. So here we go, the first game on the garbage pile, Dangerous Streets. Press the fire button. Okay, well, which button is that? Is it the 312 button, or the curly arrow button, or the arrow pointing at the line button, or the square button? Have they ever seen the fucking alphabet? They could have just called it ABCD. I'll just call it green, yellow, red, blue. So if you guessed the fire button was the down arrow pointing at the line button, you win a prize. And that prize is footage of the shittiest fighting game ever made. Right off the bat, this is possibly the worst group of fighting game characters I've ever seen. Looking back at Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, each game had a group of memorable characters like Ryu, Guile, Scorpion, Liu Kang. This game has futuristic Tommy Wiseau, ass cheek lady, spring shoe guy, fat guy with his pants undone, and a Native American guy taking a shit. And there's this guy who was born in Pennsylvania, which just confuses the shit out of me. This game is a complete mess. The buttons seem to do random things. The green and yellow buttons are standing punch and ducking punch. The blue one sometimes makes you kick, jump, or glow. I don't know what the hell's going on. What blows my mind is that the game came out in '94. By the time it was out, we already had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Mortal Kombat 2. I mean, for fuck's sake, that's the same year Killer Instinct came out. How in the sweet name of merciful shit could they fuck up a fighting game this bad by then? This is already one of the worst games I've ever played in my entire life, and it's the first thing I popped in on this system. I don't know what to do, I just mash buttons. But the sad thing, the in-game character looks just as confused as I. And not to mention, I keep winning. Also, this game is running on what is essentially an early PC made into a gaming console. It even says 32 bits on the top of it, but it looks worse than most 16-bit games. Could you imagine spending $400 of your hard-earned dollars plus another 20 or so for this game? So I'm up to the guy from Pennsylvania, and he's the cheapest piece of shit ever. Apparently, there are special moves in the game, but good luck figuring them out. It takes a button combination just to kick. Oh, and when you lose, it's back to the beginning. No continues. I just don't get it. Do people actually set out to make a game this bad? Did someone consciously decide they wanted to take everything that had been done right in video games and empty their colonic contents all over it? The only thing I like about this game is the horrible voice samples they use for the versus screen. They're hilarious.
Joseph Capelli versus Gale, Bining, Tony, Luisa, Marcos, Humbra.
Alright, on to the next game. Here we go, Super Putty. Or Look Out, It's Putty? If you don't press start, the game sends you to an unskippable demo mode. Seriously, if you try to hit the start button, it just pauses the demo. Why? I hit the start button because I wanted to start the game, not pause the demo. Why would you ever want to pause a demo? If you waited this long, your punishment is you have to watch this demo. It's actually faster to reset the game.
Too bad.
And the game itself is a drugged up fever dream. You play as a blue ball who walks around hitting mushrooms with its punching glove boner. And look up there. Pliability? Oh, of course, you know, like health, stamina, energy, pliability. So when you punch these things, for some reason, they turn into babies. And then you eat the babies. You eat the babies? Or absorb them, or whatever the hell he's doing. But if you don't, the babies explode! This game is fucked up! The sound in this game is atrocious. The sound of the babies crying, the sound when you get hurt, the jumping sound, the constant boinging. I'm going fucking mad, I tell you!
Too bad.
Okay. Well, enough of this. Next up, we got Morph. It starts off with this horrifying cutscene. This weird kid shows up at this creepy old man's house, and it looks kind of like Doc and Marty if they were crossbred with the Minions. So the kid stands on a teleporter, so they're doing the fly thing, and the whole thing blows up, turning you into a ball that can shapeshift. Yeah. So the game's basically a puzzle platformer where you can transform into different kinds of balls that each have a different ability. You have to find a specific item in each level and complete it without using too many transformations. So it's kind of a neat idea. Maybe if it wasn't on the CD32. Next, we got Naughty Ones. It starts with this cutesy cutscene set to the creepiest possible music. Then, at the menu, it has this upbeat reggae tune. The game's pretty much a basic action platformer. Just find the key in each level and then head to the door. It's not too bad. It kind of has a Bubble Bobble feel to it with the graphics and the gameplay. However, one annoying thing is it uses up as the jump button. Actually, of all the games I've talked about so far, only one game didn't use up as the jump button, and it was the fighting game, the only one where jump should have been up. So anyway, this one's okay and gets a pass. On to the next piece of technological torture, beavers. They're a hip band of beavers. Beaver mania hits the UK, but that pisses off the rabbits. So here we go. Here's another cute cutscene. A beaver comes home to his family. He just puts his lunchbox or whatever it is on the floor. He picks it up. He puts it down again. And this mean rabbit comes in and oh shit. I'm not seeing this, man. No. That didn't happen. The fuck, dude? Oh, shit. Oh. Boy, is that jarring. It's like these games can't figure out if they want to be cartoony and cute or fucking horrifying. Oh, what the hell? Oh, and look how fast the game starts. If you don't keep up, you die. The edge of the screen kills you. Shit flies at you from any which way, and pretty much anything you can touch can hurt you. You're supposedly able to do a spin attack, but it doesn't work at all. I can't even beat the first level. And if I didn't already make it clear, the purpose of the game is to rescue your wife, but I don't think this beaver's getting his wife back because I can't put myself through any more of this torture. Well, that's it. If you're expecting me to make some kind of beaver joke, no, because this is high-class internet content. Now enough of this poop, fuck, shit, diarrhea, cunt, fuck. Well, now that I got that out of my system, now it's time to move on to the real meat of the CD32. Any fan of first-person shooters knows about the big fucking game of them all, Doom. But have you ever played Gloom? Not at all like Doom. No, this is a totally different thing. This is Gloom. When the game starts, it plays this weird, happy-ass music. Naughty Ones has scary-ass music, but Gloom has happy-ass music, and it plays before every single level. Also, is he gonna kill those guys, or are they his squad mates? They look like they're on the same team. Why not make them a different color if they're an enemy? So, you play as this Space Marine type guy and kill other Space Marine guys. It looks horrible, and it's like the main character is severely nearsighted. You collect bouncing balls for guns and baby bottles for health. What, is this like a spoof? Like PO'd? Yeah, the game where you're shooting butts. But that was done on purpose as a parody. This one, it's just a fucking watered down piece of shit Doom knockoff. This game's nice and gory though. Every time you shoot someone, they explode into a million pieces. Sadly, it's repetitive as all hell and every level looks the same. In the first one, you just run to the other side of the room and it's over. Imagine completing a whole level of Doom in 10 seconds. Oh, but in the second level, you have to hit a switch before you run to the door. Oh, now it's giving Doom a run for its money. When you pause, you can change some of the graphics options. This makes the game run smoother, but it looks even more blurry. Also, you can get rid of the ceiling and floor. I guess it's supposed to make the graphics look better, but it still looks like I ate broken glass and then shit it into my eyeballs. And I must emphasize, this was a PC company. This game is giving me a headache to look at, and I think my vision has actually gotten worse because of it. I'd sue for damages, but I'm pretty sure this company's gone out of business long ago. The only thing left worth noting is the violence option. You have meaty or messy. With meaty, they explode and disappear. With messy, the chunks stay on the ground. Also, it slows the game down after you kill too many people. So, yeah, Gloom is a cheap knockoff that doesn't even do a good job at being a knockoff. On to the next one. Ugh, this one's a double disc. Whoa, so much value. I should have just lit that money on fire and pissed on it. Okay, so we'll start with Diggers. Oh, it's like Lemmings or something, I think. You go this guy, click some things, then make your guy dig. It'd be more fun to actually go outside and dig a hole than play this. Fuck it, on to Oscar. Oh god, no. Flare, the same company that made Dangerous Streets. Oh, now that's a horrible character. Seems like everybody was trying to be the CD32's mascot, but being the mascot of the CD32 is like being the mascot for a porta potty company. Actually, I take that back. It would be better to be a porta potty mascot than be featured on this cockamamie console. Okay, let's start. Take 69? Really? This is the first level. They could have put take 1, but no, they chose 69 on purpose. Oh, for the love of fuck, up is jump again. I'm convinced they're playing a joke. So here he is, Oscar the something. He's not quite Sonic, he's not quite Bubsy, he's just Oscar. The game controls worse than it looks. And I keep running into shit because the backgrounds are such a hodgepodge of vomit-inducing mishmash. The enemies are practically invisible, and I can't even get a minute into the first level before getting a game over. The levels are all based on movie genres, like in Gex or Spot Goes to Hollywood. The first room is sci-fi themed, you fight robots and what looks like the dog xenomorph from Alien 3. This one's horror themed. There's dogs, chainsaws, and spooky ghosts. I can't make much progress here. On top of the shitty controls, Oscar runs like he's on ice. This game isn't the worst I've played so far, but that's not a compliment. It's like comparing solid shit logs to a diarrhea puddle. They both smell awful, they're both disgusting, but I guess I'd rather pick up a turd log and toss it out than have to sop up diarrhea with a paper towel. Next. Bubba and Sticks, a game by Core Design. Let's find out what's worse, this or Angel of Darkness. Sticks kinda looks like Bizarro Shit Pickle. The artwork looks pretty cool, and the music is alright, so maybe this will actually be a hidden gem. Oh please, let it be good. Oh my god. Oh my god! It's actually good! Pretty good. The gameplay is kind of like a puzzle platformer where you have to use sticks to get past obstacles like using him to pry this rock up or sticking him into the wall to use as a platform. This part right here is pretty funny. You have to get close to these weird guys without interrupting their conversation and then throw Sticks, the character, at them. The graphics are really nice too. It's cartoony and colorful, but not like the rainbow vomit from Oscar. This is actually a good game. At least until I get to the second level and I can't figure out what to do. And I don't have the time to figure it out, so, oh well, I guess we gotta move on. But I can give this one the nerd stamp of not shit. But now, we're getting down to the shitty gritty. We have Surf Ninjas. Moto Surf!
Moto Surf!
That's right, they made a Surf Ninjas tie-in for this thing. Nice word art title screen. Is this a game or a 4th grade book report? Oh, and it's by Flare again. I'm guessing they were the LJN of the CD32. Well, now I know it's gonna suck. The first thing you have to do is choose whether you want to hear sound effects or music. Can I have both? The game barely resembles anything from the movie, and when my complaint is that the game is not like Surf Ninjas, then you know we're really in bad shape. Who are you supposed to be? This isn't even a character from the movie. Is it supposed to be Ernie Reyes Jr.? Or maybe it's Rob Schneider? It's not confirmed, but it's probably true that this was actually another game before they turned into Surf Ninjas. Because that's what you want to do. If you have a shitty game, might as well make it Surf Ninjas. They probably just had some generic beat 'em up on a hard drive and slapped the Surf Ninjas name on it last minute. Kinda like Doki Doki Panic, but it's Dookie Dookie Panic. Oh, that's another real shitty shit joke, but not as shitty as a shitty movie-based game based off a shitty movie, Surf Ninjas. Yeah, I know I talk about shit a lot, but I'm staring at shit. If you were looking at shit, would you be talking about butterflies or something? No, I'm looking at shit. We're talking shit. Okay, so I gotta calm myself down a little bit. The gameplay is monotonous. I walk around fighting ninjas who kick my ass most of the time. Oh, and in most games, you die when the health bar goes down, right? Well, in this game, you die whenever the game decides you're dead. Look at this, I have life left, but I'm fucking dead. Most of the time, your attacks don't even register, and when they do, it takes forever and a day to kill the ninjas. Look at this. What is going on here? Oh, wait, what? Did I just rip his heart out? That doesn't happen in the movie, does it? I gotta find out. I'm gonna make a quick call here. This is Cinemassacre Video, where selection is the name of the game. This is James speaking. How may I help you? Yeah, okay, I just want to ask you a quick question. Sure thing, go right ahead. Have you ever watched the movie Surf Ninjas?
Yeah, in fact, I just had a chat with a bunch of friends all about that. Did you know that the costume designer was the same in Street Fighter the movie? That would explain all the blue camouflage.
Okay, look.
I just want to ask a fucking question. In the movie Surf Ninjas, does anybody rip someone's heart out? Kano style. No, I don't think that happened in the movie. See? I knew it. Hello? Hello? Wow. What an asshole. So, back to this shit. Oh, and guess what? What button do you think the jump button is? Take a guess. Up. Again. But this time, they took it a step further. Jump hurts you. Yes, I am not kidding. When you jump, you get damaged. What moron decided it was a good idea to make jumping hurt you in a ninja game? So the whole point is to find items and bring them to the right places. Like here, you need to bring wax to the surfer who gives you change to give to the hobo so you can get into his alley. The last guy in my way is this dude with a truck who keeps asking you to bring him boxes. Oh, come on, man. There's a box right near you. Are you so fucking lazy you can't just walk over and get the box? Oh, but that's only one of them because there's several scattered all over the place and you have to find them all. So after searching hours for the last one, I found that you need to get a key and then go down to the hobo alley and use it to open this door. But how was I supposed to know that? This level is filled with doors that you can't go in, so when I first passed it, I thought it was just part of the scenery. I had to replay this level 8 times, checking every goddamn door in town before I found it. And there it is, the last box. Wait. What? Is that a pixelated naked lady? Okay, that made it worth it. Next game. Okay, now we have Kung Fu. Okay, first off, we need to talk about this cover art. It's like a shitty colored pencil sketch of a kangaroo with sunglasses, and they must have been pretty proud of it because it's the title screen too. And not to mention, at the bottom of the cover, they single out the letters G-R-E-E-D. So the company who made this game is called Greed. On the back, it says, this game shows the full possibilities of the CD32. Oh boy, I can't wait. Okay. Is it gonna start? It takes forever to start up. I thought it was broken because it stays on a black screen for almost 2 minutes. But that's just how the game is. Wow. Oh gosh, you could say this is random. You got a spinning ball, scrolling pictures of kangaroos that keep glitching out, and then another black screen, then a picture of a kangaroo, then another black screen, then the high score, then another black screen, and then another kangaroo picture, and then another black screen! I'm not kidding! This is the actual game! Oh, and it's really showing off all the possibilities of the CD32. For real, it's showing exactly how shitty a game can be for this console. After 8.5 minutes, no exaggeration, I finally get to the start screen. And, what? Out of memory? What does out of memory mean? Let me check the instructions. Open door, turn on CD32, insert CD, but wait with closing door till the music has played. Close door and game will boot automatically. Otherwise, it will not boot due to a bug in the CD32, which will not free the memory as it should. This is historical. Never, not once, have I ever had a game where the instructions tells you, by the way, this game is really fucked up, so you're gonna have to jump through all kinds of crazy hoops to get it to work. So now I gotta move my paint can, open the door till the music has played, close the door, and pop on the paint can. This is not normal, but believe it or not, it actually works now. And after all that, all the loading screens and everything, it turns out to be the worst game of the entire stack. It is ungodly. There is no style whatsoever. It is a complete mishmash
of garbage. Every character looks like they came from a different shitty game. You fight weird cartoon chickens, dragon guys with axes, umbrellas, giant wasps, slinkies, and bouncing balls, all on a realistic digitized backdrop. Like, this is too much to take in, so I'm just gonna give you a minute just to breathe. Okay, you ready for me to continue? I have no idea what to do here. I just jump around shooting a fucking machine gun! Why is it called Kung Fu? If he's not doing Kung Fu, he's got a machine gun! Oh gosh. Oh, I'd rather be playing Shaq Fu. I'd rather play U2 Fu and Robin Williams Fu. I thought I knew what bad games were. I thought I was prepared, but I was wrong. Oh my God. That game over screen. That is, I thought I've seen everything. But they use a real photo. You go from a cartoony kangaroo to a real picture of a kangaroo skeleton in the fucking desert. There is nothing you could ever tell me, no proof you could present that could ever prove in my mind that the developers were not psychopaths huffing the gallon of paint sitting on my CD32 right now. This was given a retail release. People were able to buy this at a store. The fact that I bought it now is one thing, but what if you bought this when it was new? What if it was your only game? Did anyone actually grow up with this thing? Imagine the psychological effects. One more game, Zool. Well, it's pretty much the same as the Atari Jaguar Zool 2, which I already covered before. It's a basic platformer action game. It's so average, it doesn't even matter. I don't have much else to say about it, so let's just pretend I said nothing. In fact, let's just forget all about the Amiga CD32. Which is one of the worst consoles I've ever played. It's the equivalent of hyena diarrhea, and you know what hyenas eat? The leftover scraps of dead animals that predators didn't want. So imagine a hyena's decaying intestinal tract spraying liquefied death sauce at its shit chute, and there you have the Amiga CD32. Fuck this thing, watch it go. All right. Oh, that's right. I should have tossed this shit too. Huh? Warning, do not play track 1 of this game CD on any audio CD player. Huh? Why not? I have to find out.
Previously on the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Huh? Warning, do not play track 1 of this game CD on any audio CD player. Why not? I have to find out. I guess the reason they tell you not to do it is because this game has the soundtrack and track 1 is the game file, so it doesn't work. Anyway, Today we're going to play A Town with No Name, but first we got to talk about the system it ran on, the Commodore CD-TV, which was basically a home computer and a CD-ROM drive crammed into an aluminum coffin. Know what CD-TV stands for? Compact disc television? No. It actually stands for Commodore Dynamic Total Vision. Wow. What a shitty, redundant acronym. Because it's the Commodore CD-TV, which means Commodore Dynamic Total Vision. Kind of like how DC Comics is technically Detective Comics comics. Ever notice that? Alright, I just gotta go get my CD-TV somewhere over here. Telegames, Coleco, Famicom. Where is it? I don't have a CD-TV right now to play it, although the CD-TV is basically the same as the Amiga 500 PC, which I also don't have. But Town with No Name can be played on anything using the Amiga Advanced Graphics Architecture chipset, as found in the Amiga CD32. You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, God.
All right, here we go again. But before we can play the game, let's talk about the cover. Ugh, look at this ugly mess. Even the weird Mega Man from the NES cover would look at this thing and vomit. Oh, and it says on the back here, congratulations, you have been personally selected from literally thousands of possible candidates to experience the Town with No Name. Huh, the Town with No Name. Well, the front just says Town with No Name, no the. Let's see if the disc, and the disc says Town with No Name. Okay, all right, let's pop this fucker in here. Oh, good thing I didn't throw away the paint can.
Enhance your game. Enhance your life. Become a true CD32 master and reach a whole new level of gaming excellence with this brand new add-on sold at these fine retailers.
Oh, it looks worse than I thought it would. So the train stops and this guy gets off and just squashes the happiest spider in the world. Why is there so much blood?
Say, old timer, what place is this?
Unbelievable. The lip sync is actually worse than Drake the 99 Dragons. Oh wait, hold on. The Town with No Name? Okay, so if we assume that the title in the actual game is the one that's correct, that would mean the back of the box is correct, but the front is wrong, which is actually worse. The disc is wrong, the spine is wrong, and let's see what it says inside the manual. It says, nothing! The Town with No Name, more like the instructions with no words. Oh, I thought the instructions in Home Improvement was bad, where it's all covered up. This is even less helpful. From an idea by Charlie Watts, the drummer from Rolling Stones. Oh, was the game drawn by Keith Richards while he was on drugs? Music by The Jester. Oh, that's quite a jest. Oh boy, it's another menu. I can get back on the train, head into town, or talk to the old timer. Fuck this, I'm getting back on the train.
Come back, Shane!
He shot a kid?
My name's not Shane, kid.
This is just... boy, that's a new one. I thought I was hallucinating. I thought it was the paint fumes coming from my CD32 add-on, but no, it's the game. So here it is, for real this time. So you walk into the town and some asshole immediately starts shooting at you. From what I can tell, he can't kill you, so all you have to do is click on him.
Dang, that's torn it. Ugh.
For Fred fuck's sake, what's with all the blood? This game has more blood than Mortal Kombat, and the front of the cover says entertainment for all ages. Where's the ESRB when you need him? Turns out the guy you killed is the little brother of Evil Ebb, the leader of the Hole in the Head gang, and now he'll stop at nothing to hunt you down. So on to yet another menu. That's pretty much all the game is, navigating menus. It's basically Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, but in the Wild West, and way worse, believe it or not. Alright, let's go get a drink at the saloon. Another ear-splitting hit from the jester. So in the saloon, you get a drink, if you can catch it. You can also play this shitty card game. It's just 3-card Monty, but you can't get out of it until you played 3 whole games of it, and it goes on forever. You can also go upstairs and check out the rooms. One room has a hooker that you can sleep with. Yeah, entertainment for all ages.
Oh no, what a time to discover I have a hygiene problem.
But she'll reject you until you take a bath. And then... Well, that was horrifying. The last room is some guy throwing knives at you, and I'm dead. Well, the Evil Dead reference is a nice touch, but trust me, you're gonna get sick of it. Oh, cool, I'm back at the beginning. At least Plumbers Don't Wear Ties lets you start where you left off, but this game has no mercy. So after playing through the same shit over and over, I found out something. Basically, all you have to do to progress the story is to walk into a location and then leave. Every time you leave, you get a cutscene with the Back to the Future font for some reason. I guess because the third Back to the Future takes place in the Wild West. Then a new guy comes to town and you duel him. You don't need to do anything, just walk in, walk out, and that's it. Each location has absolutely no bearing on the story except for the saloon, which we'll get to in a bit. They're just pointless diversions meant to waste your time. There's a store with this creepy fuck who sells you a special offer.
Step right up, sir, step right up and take advantage of today's once-in-a-lifetime, never-to-be-repeated mega special offer.
Yeah, a special offer. It's one baked bean. Man, I hope that's a joke. I can't imagine anyone putting themselves through the torture of collecting all 425 of these. There's a jailhouse where you can see the rogues gallery. It's supposed to be the guys who try to kill you, but I'm pretty sure it's the creators of the game. Honestly, for creating this shit, they deserve to be put in jail. Alright, next is the church. Ah, that jester! That fuck! So here you can talk to this priest who mumbles something and then, flies into the ceiling. The stable has this googly-eyed horse, and I love that damn horse. It's hilarious. You can try to steal it, but it kicks your ass all across the town. Still love it, though. There's the blacksmith, where this Clint Eastwood-looking guy is just hanging out. You can talk to him, or you shoot him. Whatever you want. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. My head gets blown clean off, and there isn't a single drop of blood. I mean, the spider bleeds like it's nobody's fucking business, but your head... Like, come on! Like I said, all you have to do is enter a place, then exit, and duel. The first guy is Nasty Ned. He's really easy. Just click on him when you see him, and he's dead.
Caramba, that really hurt. Oh, I've got to fall over now, so bye.
Zippy Zeke, on the other hand, is a bastard and a half. He pops up all over the place, and you only have like a second to hit him, which is almost impossible because the cursor on this thing is slower than a turd coming out the asshole of a constipated snail. The only way to win here is to watch the pattern, figure out where he'll be, and put your cursor there. Then you hit that button faster than diarrhea coming out the asshole of an unconstipated cheetah. The third guy you fight is Crafty Clint, but he ain't that crafty. He just comes in at the bottom corner of the screen and you shoot him. Eventually you'll get stuck. I ran around every single location, clicking every single option before I finally found out what to do. The next guy only comes out when you head to the saloon and choose to play cards. But seriously, how was I supposed to know that? He explains the rules for like an hour, and it's really obvious that the voice actor was just reading a cue card because he stumbles in places.
The loser has to pay 1 cent per point. 10 picture cards and aces all cost 10 cents.
Eventually I win, and he gets pissed off.
Nobody beats me and nobody cheats me. And you've been trying to do both. Let's settle this now. Out in the...
And then I'm back at the beginning again. You know, with this game, you make one tiny step forward and then it sets you all the way back. It's like a friend comes over and says, hey, you want to play rock, paper, scissors? So you go to play it, but then instead he just punches you right in the face and then he says, you want to play again? And you're like, okay, and this time you're ready for it. So this time you go to punch him in the face first, but then he kicks you in the balls and then says, you want to play again? And you say yes. But this time, as soon as the motherfucker starts talking, I shoot him!
Oh no, this waistcoat is ruined.
So now he's dead, and it plays a dramatic cutscene.
Do you have the right time, old man? No.
So finally, after killing the last two guys, you face the main bad guy, Evil Ebb. He jitters around and whispers his lines. It's like the voice actor didn't want to wake his parents in the next room.
Let's get started.
It's anticlimactic, to say the least. So this time you spare Evil Ebb and get the thrilling conclusion to the story. If only the audio would stop cutting.
Go on then, Billy Bob. Finish me off.
Billy Bob?
You mean you're not Billy Bob?
So it turns out you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You showed up to the wrong city, and Ebb thought you were someone else, so you walk off to the saloon with Evil Ebb to grab a whiskey, and then the game just kicks your ass back to the beginning. Well, that's it. And the good news is I never have to play the Amiga CD32 ever again. And just to make sure this time, I'm sending this thing back to the depths of hell. Hadouken! 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 Fiddle! Rock! Fire! You know what? Fuck this digital shit, because this thing needs to be destroyed for real. I'm not joking around. I'm going practical. I'm gonna do the real fucking deal. How's that for practical? Yeah! Burn, baby, burn! Yeah! Whew, boy! Yeah! There, you want a Christmas episode? There. Now it's a Christmas episode. So I think I've run out of shitty winter holiday games, so you know what? I'm gonna give a present to myself and just not play any shitty games.
Ding dong.
Hang on a minute. What's this?
A lovely cheese pizza, just for you.
You got the wrong house. I didn't order any pizza, but I'll take it anyway. Oh, not funny.
Think of it as a gift. You owe it to yourself to play those games. I hear they're awesome.
No, they're not. Besides, I already reviewed both NES games. That first one where you're laying traps around the house that are enclosed in square tiles for no reason, where you're walking up the stairs like you took a dump. And that second one where you're running through the hotel, sliding on your knees, fighting mops, vacuum cleaners, and suitcases, and a chef that takes off his clothes. I'm already done with that, so get this shit out of here. And you better believe I'm leaving a bad Yelp review.
That's just the NES versions. Maybe the rest of them are better. I mean, Look at how many of them there are. I mean, they can't all be bad. Can they?
I admit I haven't played the rest. Have you?
No, but they all have Macaulay Culkin in them. I mean, how could you go wrong?
Well, maybe if they're not as bad as the NES games.
Come on, everyone in the world shits in these games, and maybe you could change the world's mind. I mean, come on.
Okay, fine, but you're not going anywhere. You're gonna sit right here and suffer with me.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take care of some unfinished business here, playing the rest of the Home Alone games with special guest, the Pizza Boy.
Yep, that's me. I'm the Pizza Boy. Pizza Boy, that's me.
Home Alone was a phenomenon in the 90s. Kevin McAllister was a badass tactician, and every kid back then wanted to be just like him, fighting off the wet bandits and saving his house from getting looted.
Yep, me too. I wanted to be just like him. He was really handsome.
So of course, with the movie being such a big deal, there was bound to be tons of video game tie-ins, and I mean like tons, on every console imaginable. There's Home Alone games on NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, Game Gear, and even the PC and Amiga computers.
Don't forget the European exclusive on the PS2.
No! The biggest anomaly of the group is definitely the PS2 version. It was only released in Europe in 2006. Yeah, a while after the movie.
Yeah, but that movie is just timeless.
It is. But this game, by all known laws of physics in the universe, has no right to exist. The mere idea would baffle the greatest scientific minds of our time. Besides, the style is completely different. It doesn't look anything like the movies, looks nothing like Macaulay Culkin. I don't even know why we're even talking about it, so let's just pretend it doesn't exist.
Agreed.
Home Alone 2 on Game Boy is just Home Alone 2 on NES, and Home Alone 1 on the NES is just ass. I've talked about it before, but the most ridiculous thing about the game is that to win, you have to run around the house for 20 minutes. Seriously, who the fuck would sit and play this shit for 20 minutes? You'd have to have some serious problems.
What are you trying to say, man?
Well, who am I to judge? I'm sitting here playing games with a fucking Pizza Boy.
Wow, not cool.
You know, I wonder what Macaulay Culkin's doing right now, if he's ever played these games. I wonder if he'd approve.
Nah, I don't think he would.
No, you say that like have you met him before?
Yeah, you could say so.
Oh my gosh. You were in the Home Alone movies, right?
Yep.
You were in them.
Yep.
You were the Pizza Boy in Home Alone.
Yeah, I'm still a Pizza Boy. I'm just
wow, that's
very method.
That's amazing.
Still pizza.
Anyway, let's move on with the games. Let's do the Super Nintendo version now.
Yeah, let's do that. You know what, nerd? I can feel it. This one's gonna be good. I feel it in my Pizza Boy bones.
The object is to run around the house collecting valuable items to hide from the criminals. You can only hold a certain amount. When your hands are full, you have to drop them down a laundry chute which leads into a giant vault in the basement, or Goro's lair, or wherever the hell this is.
Look, I know the movie was a long time ago and stuff, but I don't remember Kevin gathering together candlesticks, money bags, and giant emerald rings, and then throwing them down a laundry chute. I mean, but what do I know?
The items are found in the most random places. Like in a toilet? Look, I found an entire goddamn pizza in a toilet!
Kevin would never grab anything out of a toilet.
Wow. Yeah, not even a pizza. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I would have, back in my heady days.
You would have grabbed something out of a toilet?
Yeah.
Pizza?
You've ever had toilet pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pizza shit.
Yeah. I knew I liked you.
What is wrong with the McAllisters? They have pizza hidden all over the house. They have things hidden in bookshelves, picture frames, boxes, the bathtub. Have you ever found anything in a bathtub before?
I found myself once.
Also, who are these criminals? That looks nothing like Joe Pesci. Do you think that looks like Joe Pesci?
Nah, not really. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while, though.
I mean, yeah, they have Marvin Harry in there, but who are all these generic cartoon mobsters? There's guys who pelt you with balls, and Odd Job from James Bond.
You know it's totally unfair when you pick Odd Job anyway.
I mean, they could at least have the gangster from Angels with Filthy Souls on there.
Yeah. Keep the change.
I'd love to see more of that movie. I want to see the rest.
Yeah.
Your main weapon is a water gun that does diddly dick. Seriously, it feels like every weapon is completely ineffective. And every time you die, you get Kevin screaming in your face. And get used to it because you're gonna see it a lot. I swear to God, next time I see Macaulay Culkin's face, I'm gonna ram my fucking fist right through it. I should also mention that the Game Boy version is pretty much the same thing, just with shittier graphics. It's kind of like switching from getting kicked in the balls with steel-toed boots to soccer cleats. Both fucking suck, but one sucks worse. So in level 2, the items that you're collecting and hiding are toys. Yeah, that's right, Marv wants to steal his toys. A throwaway line from the movie became an entire level. At the end of each stage, you have to go down the basement and fight a bunch of bats and rats.
That didn't happen in the movie. I would know. I was there.
Then you always fight a boss, including a giant spider and a ghost.
When has Kevin had to deal with all this kind of shit?
Oh, the best is when you're collecting all the family pets that, according to your dad, are rare.
Do they really think I grew up in a house where giant frogs roamed free in the hall? Yeah, we just had those suckers hopping all around all the time. Mr. Frog House. I've never had to collect 35 pets, drop them down a laundry chute, and into a bank vault. Are you fucking kidding me? What kind of asshole does this game think I am? I can't believe they get away with this. I mean, you go to a store and you see your face on a cartridge. You go like, I'm going to play with myself all day long. Every kid deserves a video game based on themselves, am I right? But no, they shat on me. They shat on my legacy. What am I gonna do?
Wait a minute. You're not a real pizza boy. You're Culkin. I'm playing Home Alone games with Macaulay Culkin. Ah!
Really? Never seen that before. It's new. Can we just get back to the fucking games?
Right. Next up, Home Alone 2 on Super Nintendo.
All right, I'm sure they've learned from their mistakes.
Yeah.
They're gonna get it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be our time.
Yeah.
Our time down here. Mm-hmm. Down here, it's our time.
Yeah, this one should be better. In fact, why don't you play this one? Because after all, they're your games.
So this is the sequel where I'm home alone in New York. Huh?
This looks very familiar. It's like they just copied Home Alone 2 on NES, because that one was so good.
Killer vacuum cleaners, floating mops, violent suitcases, and angry old ladies with umbrellas.
It's all back. Just like the NES version.
Why is the entire hotel trying to kill me? I mean, they have a bunch of fucking bombs behind the check-in desks. I mean, do they hate their child customers so much that they have to lob lobby bombs at them? And yes, that was pretty hard to say.
So in the movie, they're going after him because he stole a credit card. But in the game, they don't explain it's stolen. They're just going after a kid because he simply used a credit card. Gee.
Credit card? You got it.
And did you ever remember using a boxing glove gun in the movie?
That's your concern?
Was this part so important they had to repeat it in this game? Like, what's with the stripping chef?
Why is the man upside down with his pants around his ankles?
Weird, man.
Why?
It's weird, man.
Hold me.
So, level 2, you're in Central Park, where every criminal on the planet is after you.
Bats? Now there's bats! Bats again!
You know there's too many bats, when all the Home Alone games have bats!
This game didn't jump the shark, it jumped the bats!
Was there one bat in the movie? I mean, honestly, was there just one? Anywhere?
Are you familiar with my work?
I thought I was. Now I'm not so sure.
Me too. Hold me again. Okay, with all seriousness, explain to me. Knee sliding into a rat. Who does that?
That's one hell of a way to take out a rat. Have you ever called up Terminex or something and they come over and they start knee sliding through all the fucking rats?
And why are the rats bloody? Do they have the plague?
Oh, and there's the pigeon lady. Just the friendly old pigeon lady trying to kill you. She was your friend in the movie. I mean, yeah, okay, Kevin was scared of her at first, but in the game, they just make her full villain.
Looks like I'm getting rid of my turtle dove.
Because I guess they were running out of ideas for stage bosses.
I don't think they had any ideas to begin with. I mean, did you see the stripping chef? Because that's seared into my mind.
The next stage, you're running around this confusing warehouse setting traps for Marv and Harry, which at least follows the movie.
Aha, but then you go back outside again to fight more bats. Then floating trash can lids. I mean, what does this take place in the Ghostbusters universe or something?
But we've now arrived at the cream of the crop. You climb a giant tree with a freaky, evil face.
You know, once I had to fight a demonic tree. It was terrible. I don't know how the game developers found that out.
Demonic evil tree, they exist. And this happened to you. Do you remember, like, what, how did it happen? Like, what?
It was a long time ago.
I know, it's...
Don't touch me! Back to the tree.
So you take out Marv and Harry on top of the tree, the pigeon lady comes to help, you're reunited with your mom, the bandits are locked up, and that's Home Alone 2 in a nutshell. Just like the movie.
Both Super Nintendo games suck. I mean, I thought at least one of them would be good. They besmirched my good name. I don't think I'll ever live this down. The holding is back on.
Okay. Don't worry, Mac. We'll find one that's good. I promise. Because next up, Home Alone on Sega Genesis.
Oh, God.
The game has you going around the neighborhood as Kevin on a rocket sled or something. You go to different houses and lay traps for the wet bandits. Yeah, torch them!
The traps thing, that's from the movie.
Also, you can find items to create weapons, kind of like a crafting system. Pretty ambitious for a Sega game. There's 5 different houses to protect. There's this old house with breaking floors.
Holy shit! Kevin just fell through 2 floors of that house, and he's totally fine. Alright, he's pretty badass.
Some of the houses have their own hazards. In the mansion, there's a crazy spider that attacks anyone who gets near it.
Hey, it's Buzz's tarantula. Just like the movie!
So there's this house with this asshole cat that claws the fuck out of Kevin, a futuristic house with robots, and a haunted house with a ghost. They'll attack Kevin if he gets near, but they'll also fuck up the wet bandits too. So pretty much all you have to do is fuck up the wet bandits enough before they loot the whole house. You do this by filling up the pain meter by getting them to step on traps or shooting them. Save all the houses and the police will come and take them away. And that's the Genesis version. My conclusion with this one is that it's a little cartoony, takes some liberties here and there, but overall, it's not too bad. So you see, Mac, there's hope.
You really think so?
I think so, because there's a second one on Genesis. And this one, I bet they learned from their mistakes. I bet this one's going to be even better. So this is it. We're just one little step away. Get ready.
Crank up that puppy.
Get ready for a good Home Alone game.
Yeah!
Well, this is off to a frustrating start. Why is everyone in the entire airport trying to kill you? What did Kevin do to instigate all this?
I mean, maybe because they had me pelting innocent businessmen with baseballs? Here comes Kevin McAllister. He gives him a big old concussion with a fucking baseball. Right to the dome. Look at that. Bam! I'm shooting a poor balloon salesman and stealing his balloons to get past the TSA. They're making me a fucking asshole.
At least you get to see Kevin take out airport security with a water fountain, and then they all just fall through the floor, while Kevin just looks at you like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
In level 2, you're navigating through the cargo docks or whatever, where they move the baggages. I never would have imagined airports have a maze of conveyor belts, moving platforms, pipes, and pistons. If you step on certain spots, you get teleported to another area. Everywhere I try to go, I get sent back, and I have to do half the level all over again. Fuck!
Fuck!
Oh, you give this a try.
Fuck. Fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. What are they doing to me? Fuck. This is the worst one of all!
Wow, people ask me why I'm so angry. It's because these games ruined my childhood.
Your childhood? I mean, it's bad enough that you have one bad game based on you, but what about 10? Is this how you live? I mean, it's every boy's dream to be in a video game, and then it turns into a fucking nightmare. A child nightmare.
All right, just let it all out. Let it out. Go for the nerd rant.
This game is like poop from a buffalo butt.
Diarrhea. It's gotta be diarrhea. Just go for it.
Okay, I got it. I'd rather do a human centipede with the wet bandits. Marv in my mouth, hairy in my ass. I'll turn them into the sticky bandits.
Oh, dude. Oh.
No, think about it. Think about it. Close your eyes.
No, I don't.
No.
And that's from the web series that brought you Shredders My Ass and Splinters My Balls.
Nice.
Well, Mac, sorry your games suck, but I know something we can do to make us feel better.
So, you want to play Good Son on Jaguar CD?
Fuck yeah!
Let's do this.
All right, that sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.